Chapter 932, February 22nd, 20th of the first month. The atmosphere of the year had completely dissipated. Heaven Division Island. A thunderous roar exploded in everyone's ears. "Rise!" A low roar was heard. In the next moment, a palace soared into the air. Hanging in the air, below the palace, Beigong Yin, Qinqi, Tianmu, and Guoshengquan unleashed their mentality, condensing into four giant transparent pillars. Mentality solidification. Rank 9 powerhouses could not maintain mentality solidification forever, but it was not a big problem to maintain it for 3 to 5 days. At this moment, the four powerhouses' mentality exploded. Their chi was extremely powerful, condensing into four giant pillars in an instant, holding up the palace. The main entrance of the palace. Above the main entrance, 3 big words mixed with a smear of blood red, stirring people's hearts. Combat Heavenly Palace. The 2 rank 9s, Guan Fu and Mei Lingfeng, soared into the air, following the main entrance, unleashing their mentality to the limit. In an instant, a staircase appeared in the void, leading straight down. The 6 experts hovered in the air above the Battle Heavenly Palace. The huge palace covered the sky. Below, some powerhouses exclaimed. Some powerhouses' mentality fluctuated. A young man transmitted his voice and sneered, showing off in front of an expert. "Is it necessary to make a palace suspended in the air in front of us?" In the boundaries of Outland, there was no palace suspended in the air like this everywhere. However, it was built by an emperor-level powerhouse. The human world martial artists were just imitating it, making a fool of themselves. Although the 6 rank 9s were strong, in many people's eyes, the floating palace supported by 6 rank 9s mentality could be destroyed in the blink of an eye, and the palace would fall if there were powerhouses deliberately messing with it. These outsiders discussed telepathically. The rank 6 martial artists in Heaven Division, on the other hand, were amazed. This was their first time seeing a palace suspended in the air. Ling Yi said enviously, "Where did Fong Ping get this palace? It's actually floating in the air." Beside her, Chen Yunqi was also smiling, looking at Fong Ping, who was also looking at the palace not far away. Fong Ping turned his head to look at Chen Yunqi, nodding slightly. He continued to look at the palace in the air. Beside him, Old Man Li held his sword with one hand. He did not manage to trick the Sky Destroyer, so Old Man Li forged another rank 9 divine weapon. Old Man Li held the long sword in his hand and glanced at the group of people not far away. He said, "Many people from Combat Heavenly Palace know about it. Will they go in?" As for the young people's comments, Fong Ping and the others took it as a joke. The reason why Xiao Chun had brought out the Battle Heavenly Palace today with great fanfare seemed to be ostentatious. However, that was not the case. There was only one goal. If they fought, it would not affect Demonic City. In other words, when the battle started, no one could escape. It was that simple. There were crooks and honest folk mixed together today, and no one knew if there would be any accidents. Fong Ping was confident that he could solve the problem below the summit, but he could not guarantee that the outbreak of chaos would not affect Magic City. If someone escaped and entered Demonic City, it would be a disaster. 50 to 60 rank 9 powerhouses. With so many rank 9s and a large number of rank 8s, even if a paragon could kill them, he might not be able to kill everyone in an instant. Some might slip through the net and escape. What Fong Ping had thought of, most of the people present had not. Some of them might not have expected that Fong Ping had already considered the problem of capturing all of them in one fell swoop before the meeting even started. A myriad of thoughts ran through his mind. At this moment, a few rank 9 powerhouses had already solidified the Battle Heavenly Palace. The tens of meters high staircase extended directly to Fong Ping's feet. Fong Ping suppressed the thoughts in his mind, stepping on the staircase, going up slowly. As he walked, he said, "Everyone, today's meeting will be held here. Please." Although Fong Ping's speed was slow, he still arrived in front of the palace gate in the blink of an eye. The palace gate moved on its own without any wind, opening without a sound. Fong Ping stepped in. In the crowd, some people looked at the open palace, suddenly feeling like wolves entering a tiger's mouth. A bloody mouth! That red door was like a bloody mouth open wide, waiting for them to enter. Fong Ping entered first, but Bei Gong Yin and the others did not. These people stood on both sides, as if they were welcoming the guests inside. There were many rank 9s by the side, giving people some pressure. Not far away, Prince Hongji, who was in heaven observation, was now accompanied by a few powerhouses who had just rushed over from heaven observation. Everyone looked at the palace in the sky above. Beside Hongji, a silver-haired old woman spoke telepathically. "Prince, this is the Battle Heavenly Palace, the place where the ancient powerhouse, Battle Heavenly Emperor, resided. True gods cannot break through." Hongji nodded indiscernibly. He had been to the Emperor's tomb before and knew about the Battle Heavenly Palace. The Battle Heavenly Palace had stood in the Emperor's tomb for thousands of years. According to Devil Swordsman, no one had opened it for thousands of years. Previously, Qi Huanyu and the others fought inside. So many rank 9 powerhouses fought, but they could not destroy the Battle Heavenly Palace. Qi Huanyu and Zhao Xingwu even unleashed their true god-level power in the end, and only then did they manage to penetrate the defense above the Battle Heavenly Palace. At that time, the heart had already been absorbed, and the Battle Heavenly Palace had no energy to support it. Hongji suppressed the throbbing in his heart and spoke telepathically. "It's okay. Heaven Observation and the Heaven Division are collaborating, and I have joined the Heaven Division now. Although I am representing Heaven Observation this time, I am still on the same side as Fong Ping." As Hongji spoke, he glanced at a group of people standing alone not far away. In front of the group, there was a young man, handsome as jade, dressed in a brocade robe, looking heroic. Even if there were countless powerhouses at the moment, he was already eye-catching. Hongji glanced at him. The other party seemed to sense it, tilting his head slightly, looking at Hongji with a faint smile, nodding slightly. "Jiang Ke." Hongji did not speak, nodding in response, and quickly transmitted his voice. "Wei Yishan's Jiang Ke is actually not dead. This is beyond my expectations." This time Jiang Ke suddenly came out of the mountain. "I think Fong Ping is guarding against the people from Wei Yishan." "That's good. Maybe there will be a good show this time." Hongji's eyes wandered. Jiang Ke, ranked 11th on the Wind Cloud leaderboard. Wei Yishan's Emperor's son. Wei Yishan's second grotto heaven, second only to Wangwu Mountain. Wei Yishan's Emperor Qing Tong was also an ancient emperor. The emperors of the 10 grotto heavens and the 4 Brahma emperors were about the same time period. This time, there were 6 people from the sky beyond Avalon and 2 from the bounded domain. Wei Yishan and Yulong Tian were probably the most noteworthy ones. As for Dragon Transformation Sky's emperor was still outside Chongrong Sky, so he probably would not have too many ideas this time. The old woman also quickly transmitted her voice. "The Star City's Jiang family seems to be from Wei Yishan. The Jiang family is only their orthodoxy in the human world. The Su family's King of Swords is the true heir of Wei Yishan. Wei Yishan has already made arrangements. Don't underestimate them." Among the 13 families in Star City, the Su family's ancestor and the others came from the Bounded Lands. The other ancestors had their own origins. The Jiang family's ancestor came from the human world and was a Marquis Zhou. However, the Jiang family also had a heritage. The Jiang family's roots were Wei Yishan. In other words, among the 13 families, 2 were related to Wei Yishan. Hongji did not speak, feeling a little regretful. It was a pity that Master was in a deep slumber and did not make arrangements. Among the 13 families in Star City, none came from Grandmasters. However, there were many arrangements in the Bounded Lands. Beside Jiang Ke, there was an old man with white hair and beard. This person was not from Wei Yishan, but the Su family's second ancestor, Su Yunfei, who had been guarding outside Wei Yishan's Bounded Lands for many years. Su Yunfei was ranked 2nd in Sino Nation's origin ranking, second only to Kong Lingyuan. After Kong Lingyuan was seriously injured, Su Yunfei was the true number 1 person in Sino Nation, ranked 5th on the Wind Cloud leaderboard. In addition, the Su family had Su Haoran, who was also a powerhouse in Origin Path. This time, Wei Yishan was the strongest among all parties. In the sky, the palace door opened. Fong Ping had already entered and disappeared on the stairs. Not far away, Jiang Kuei took a look and walked forward slowly. A group of people followed behind him, like stars surrounding the moon, following him. Passing by Star City's side, the white-haired Su Yunfei looked at Su Haoran with raised brows. Su Haoran bowed slightly. Su Yunfei was the Su family's second ancestor and also his great-grandfather. At this moment, seeing that the second ancestor was looking at him, Su Haoran bowed in greeting and did not move much. Su Yunfei took a look at the other family's representatives in Star City and did not speak again. He followed and stepped up the stairs together. After they left, Jiang Chao glanced at Su Haoran and said telepathically, "Grandpa Su, don't let second ancestor Su get dizzy. Don't follow Weishan blindly. You have to follow the right people." Su Haoran glared at him. Jiang Chao did not care and continued, "Minister Zhang and the others are not to be trifled with. My family's ancestor has calculated long ago that you will only have meat to eat if you follow them. If you follow others, you will be beaten to death sooner or later." Ancestor Su has finally mixed into the ranks of neo-martial artists. In the last battle, Ancestor Su fought with his life on the line. Why is second ancestor Su following these old antiques for no reason? Su Haoran frowned slightly. After thinking for a while, he said telepathically, "Second ancestor has been guarding Weishan for many years. Previously, he received some favors from Weishan. These years, Weishan's grotto heaven would sometimes give some benefits. Second ancestor can cultivate to this stage because of Weishan. This time, Weishan has come out of the mountain, so second ancestor has to take care of them. This is understandable, but it's better to take it easy." Jiang Chao did not smile cheekily at this time. He said seriously, "Weishan's emperor's son is ranked 11th on the wind cloud list. Emperor Qing Tong is also ranked 11th on the emperor list. They are both powerhouses. I think this guy didn't greet Fong Ping and the others when he came. He looks kind, but is actually very arrogant. I know Fong Ping too well. You are arrogant, but he is even more arrogant. You are easy to talk to, but he is easier to talk to than you." Yesterday, when the people from Taibai Mountain came, that old man pointed at Fong Ping's nose and scolded him. Fong Ping was all smiles. "Grandpa Su, this is what you call liking. As for Weishan, it doesn't seem to be to Fong Ping's liking. This guy doesn't care if Emperor Qing Tong is strong or not. If he is pissed off, do you believe that he will directly mince this Jiang Kuei and combat Heavenly Palace?" Su Haoran frowned slightly and nodded lightly. "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Did old ancestor Su have any instructions before?" Su Haoran was about to reply when he suddenly looked at him and scolded in a low voice, "Get lost. Who are you to ask me?" This little fatty was still talking business with him with a straight face. Why was he acting all high and mighty? Jiang Chao's face fell. "I was helping you out of goodwill, but you don't know how to appreciate my kindness." Both of them did not have time to continue chatting. The people from Weishan went up. Soon, another force went up. The people from Dragon Changing Sky. This time, Dragon Changing Sky was led by a true god powerhouse. However, that true god was invited by Chen Yaozu for tea. At this moment, it was still Wang Hanyue and Wang Ruobing. Wang Hanyue's expression was cold, not saying a word. It was rare for Wang Ruobing to come out. She looked around, but there was still an unconcealable worry in the depths of her eyes. Her father was in seclusion outside Changrong Heaven, and Wang Ruobing was still very worried. After Dragon Changing Sky, it was Yu Longtian's turn. 3 rank 9s from the group of people previously in Sun City also walked up the stairs. After Yu Longtian, it was not the other grandmasters but the powerhouses from Star Cluster City. Su Haoran stepped up the stairs. It was orderly. The Heaven Division did not say who would go first, nor did they make any arrangements. However, these people were arranged by themselves. Weishan, Dragon Changing Sky, Yu Longtian, Star Cluster City, they were not ranked according to strength. Suppressing Heavenly King was ranked second, but Star Cluster City was not the first to enter. As for how these people were ranked, outsiders did not know. After Star Cluster City, it was the other grandmasters, followed by the people from Xuan de Grotto Heaven, and then the representatives from the other 5 sacred grounds in various countries. When these people entered one after another, the palace doors of combat, Heavenly Palace, closed suddenly. There were still many people underground who did not enter. Some of them were foreign powerhouses and some Heaven Division powerhouses. Below, Ling Yi was still smiling earlier, but now she was a little uneasy, a little depressed. She said, "Yunxi, why do I feel like I can't breathe? Isn't it just a meeting? Why do I feel like some people can't even take a step up the stairs?" One should know that the weakest martial artists who entered were rank 7, and they were very few. They were all led by rank 9s. Ling Yi seemed to see some people's hesitation. Chen Yunxi was no longer smiling. Her voice was solemn as she said, "Those who came today are all representatives of Earth's forces. They said it was for the matter of the King battleground, but in reality, there are some other interests to be divided. It would be better if Guardian Wu and the others were the ones to discuss. Fong Ping is the one to discuss." Chen Yunxi did not understand what Zhang Tao and the others meant. This kind of thing was not suitable for Fong Ping to discuss. Fong Ping was too young. Wu Chuan, Wu Quishan, even Beigong Yin and the others were more suitable to discuss. But in the end, it was still given to Fong Ping to lead. With Fong Ping's stubbornness, it was normal for a meeting to turn into a big fight in the end. Chen Yunxi did not understand for a moment. At the same time, in the deep sea, Chun Yaozu, Li Jun, Nen Yunyue, and Warlord had all arrived. They opened up a dojo in the sea area, using the sea as a table, and invited powerhouses from all sides. The 4 of them stood in 4 directions. Around them, there were also true god powerhouses from all sides. Warlord laughed and said, "Everyone, let the juniors talk about these small matters. We'll talk, eat, and drink. After eating, the meeting is over, and we'll do what we should do." As soon as he finished speaking, someone smiled faintly and said, "Divine Divination Lord." Warlord interrupted him and said with a smile, "Don't call me that. I'm not some Divine Divination Lord. Call me by my name or Warlord. Divine Divination Lord is not me." As soon as he said that, someone laughed and said, "Since Divine Divination Warlord does not want to talk about the past, then let's not talk about it. Warlord, I heard that Emperor Song is in Magic City. We haven't seen Emperor Song for a long time. How is Emperor Song doing?" Warlord was about to speak. Suddenly, the corner of his mouth twitched. The person who asked the question saw the corner of his mouth twitch and was slightly stunned. Then his expression changed slightly and he wanted to move. At that moment, there was a loud bang. An incomparably huge black pot, somewhat similar to a frying pan, directly smashed the back of the person's head. Boom! The true god who asked the question fell directly into the sea, causing a huge wave. Then the black pot disappeared. In the void, the phantom of a big cat appeared. The big cat seemed to be very angry, baring its fangs and claws. It raised the black pot in its hand and said angrily, "I'm about to die from anger. Once is fine, but twice, thrice, 4, 5 times. If you do it again, I'll stab you to death." The cat was really angry. It was sleeping well, but this person was always thinking about it. One moment, he wanted to snatch the divine artifact. The next moment, he wanted to force it to know where the heavenly realm was, and the next moment, it was something else. He even wanted to pluck its skin, fur, bones, and flesh. The cat also had a good temper, so it could think whatever it wanted. However, the distance between them was too close, and the other party's thoughts were endless. It could not sleep anymore. The cat was flustered and exasperated. It waved the black pot in its hand a few times and looked at some people in the crowd. Its face was full of anger as it said, "Don't think about me anymore. The big dog is dead, and all of you are bullying me." The cat was aggrieved and angry. "I don't want to care about you." However, these true gods were just next door. The closer they were, the more obvious the feeling was. In the cat's world, those phantom images were endless. One moment, they wanted to snatch this. The next moment, they wanted to snatch that. The cat was extremely annoyed. In the crowd, there was a powerhouse whose entire body was like jade. He smiled brightly and said, "You've misunderstood, Grey the Arch. How would we dare to offend you? The cat glanced at him, its face full of disdain. Then it raised its paw and made a middle paw gesture. The powerhouse who spoke froze. However, the cat ignored him and looked at the war king. It said angrily, "Little fatty, take them away. If they stay here any longer, I'm going to lose my temper. Do you believe that I won't cook all of you together?" After the cat finished speaking, it ignored them and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Just as they were about to speak, the phantom image suddenly appeared again. The black pot suddenly flashed. The powerhouse, who had just flown up from the bottom of the sea, could not avoid it again and was smashed into the sea with a bang. Still thinking, "I'm angry." Bang, bang, bang. A series of deafening sounds came out. The black pot smashed down again and again, smashing the physical body of the true god powerhouse in the sea until it began to collapse. Not only the physical body, but the powerhouses on the sea had a serious expression and quickly said, "Calm down, Gray the Arch. If you continue, his origin will collapse." Yes, origin. The cat used the black pot to smash the head of the powerhouse. After a while, many people noticed that the black pot was not only hurting the body, but the powerhouse's origin seemed to be collapsing. If this continued, it might really smash a true god to death. Everyone had a serious expression. Very strong. This true god did not have much ability to resist. After being hit by the black pot, he seemed to be a little slow. Some people frowned. Even venerable sovereigns could not beat a true god like this so easily, right? Some people were vigilant, and some were at a loss. And a few hundred miles away, the original body of the cat did not come. At this moment, the cat was lying on the lawn and sleeping. In the cat's world, the cat held the heaven-punishing sword in his left paw and the god-restraining staff in his right paw. At this moment, he was dragging someone and beating him up. It was none other than the powerhouse who had been smashed into the sea a few hundred miles away. The cat's right paw knocked down, making the powerhouse dizzy. His left paw held the heaven-punishing sword and stabbed down, making the powerhouse's origin overflow. After a few times, the cat slapped the powerhouse into the black swamp with his tail. He put his hands on his waist and said angrily, "If you do it again, I'll stab you to death. I won't fight. If you bully me again, I'll call for help." Saying that he would not fight, the cat poked him a few more times before his anger subsided. He muttered, "So annoying, so annoying. The liar is so weak, and the fake human emperor is not helping me beat people. I'm so angry." In his anger, a large number of fish-headed demonic beasts in the cat's world quickly roasted themselves and entered the cat's mouth. After eating for a while, the cat completely calmed down. He muttered, and a moment later, a big pot appeared out of thin air in the cat's world. The cat looked at the big pot and muttered again. It was not a big fish, or it would have been stewed. Forget it, forget it. I won't hold grudges against you. If you think about it again, I'll let the dogs bite you to death." In the next moment, the cat woke up and smacked the Jiao with his tail. The Jiao was furious. "What's wrong? It was sleeping soundly. Why did this stupid cat hit it again? You're so lazy that you only know how to sleep." The cat looked at the Jiao dangerously, then suddenly said happily, "I have an idea. Puppy, I'll throw you to the deepest part of the Forbidden Sea. Swim back yourself. Swim back, and we can eat beef." "Woo-woo," the Jiao roared. "No, this cat is crazy. It wants to throw me to the deepest part of the Forbidden Sea." One had to know that the Jiao was only active in the periphery. The Forbidden Sea stretched for countless miles, and it had no idea how deep it was. But it had thrown it almost 10,000 miles before. Would it throw it a few 100,000 miles this time? The Jiao was anxious. "Damn it, no. No matter how lazy I am, I'm not as lazy as this stupid cat." The cat ignored it and pressed its big head with its paw. It covered its mouth and murmured, "You scold me every day, and you even want to steal my artifact. You even want to run away and steal my cat food to eat. You're so bad. Puppy, this time you have to swim back yourself. Once you're back, you can fight the liar." As it spoke, the cat had already dragged the Jiao's tail. dragging it towards the entrance of the Magic City catacombs. The Jiao clawed at the ground with all its might, causing it to cave in. It refused to go. "Damn it," the cat said happily. "Be good, it's okay. You won't die. I left you a lot of Dragon Emperor's aura. The real gods won't hit you. If the fake gods hit you, you can eat them." Woo-woo. The Jiao could not break free. In the blink of an eye, it was dragged thousands of meters by the cat to the entrance of the catacombs. The Jiao's eyes were filled with despair. In the distance, Feng Ling and the mole shuddered. This cat was too bad. Would the golden-horned beast not come back? Under their terrified gazes, the cat dragged the Jiao into the catacombs. The Jiao's shrill roar rang out. It did not want to go. There were too many demons in the Forbidden Sea. "Chef, save me." The Jiao's shrill roar traveled far this time. At the same time, Combat Palace, in the main hall. Fong Ping sat in the middle of the hall. Suddenly he picked his ears. Was he hearing things? The Jiao seemed to be asking for help. Wasn't the Jiao with the cat? Who dared to provoke the cat on Earth? He had been thinking too much. It seemed like he had been under a lot of pressure recently. He needed to pay more attention. Chapter 9:33. He didn't care about the auditory hallucinations anymore. The main hall was the only main hall in the Combat Heavenly Palace. In the past, Heavenly Varjan had probably received his friends here and talked about the martial Tao. Previously, there were only a few stone chairs in the hall. At this moment, there were more tables and chairs. When the people from the Xuan de Grotto Heaven sat down, a golden body expert suddenly became a little sluggish and poked the old man. The old man raised his head and looked at him. "Senior brother, don't you think I look familiar?" "What?" The golden-bodied man pointed at the table and then at the chair. The old man did not expect this at first. Then, his expression changed slightly. He looked at Fong Ping abruptly and almost vomited blood. "Ours! All the tables and chairs here are ours." Was this guy not embarrassed? It was one thing to be a bandit, but what was the meaning of putting it on display in front of the master? Above, Fong Ping looked at the old man's fiery face and was a little confused. He smiled and said, "Senior Xianhua, do you have something to say?" The old man's name was Xianhua, and he was also on the Wind Cloud list. However, some people on the ranking list only had names but no background. Fong Ping only found out that Xianhua, who was on the ranking list, came from the Xuan de Grotto after getting to know him. He was ranked 42nd on the Xianhua ranking list, slightly lower than Fong Ping. However, among the top 100 powerhouses, the top 10 were all extremely strong. The gap between the rest wasn't that big. Xianhua's expression flickered for a moment before he let out a soft snort and said nothing. He looked at the table again. The more he looked at it, the more familiar it seemed. This seemed to be something from the guest hall. Fong Ping saw him looking at the table and seemed to have realized something. He smiled and did not continue the conversation. "Whatever's in my hands is mine, of course. I have to keep a close eye on this old man, lest he takes it away." In any case, it was a table made from a rank 8 monster plant. It was worth some money, but it was also a facade. Everyone took their seats. Very soon, a few rank 7 powerhouses served tea. After delivering the tea, these Tion division experts all left the hall. Fong Ping did not leave too many people in the basilica. Fong Ping was at the head of the table, followed by Wu Quishan, Wu Chuan, and Lin Long. One represented the central government, one represented the 3 ministries, and one represented the 4 manors. In the entire hall, there were only 4 powerhouses representing China. But no one was careless. Outside the main hall, there were many experts. The 9th grade of the Heaven Division were all waiting in the courtyard outside the main hall. If there was even the slightest movement, these people would quickly rush over. "It's not easy for all of you to gather here today." Fong Ping was the first to speak. With a face full of smiles, he said, "Beyond Avalon, the land of boundaries, the 6 great holy lands, the governments of various countries. It's really not easy for all the forces to gather here. Hua Nation has been fighting countless battles in the past 2 years, but I haven't had the chance to meet you all. I haven't heard much about the movements of the various parties, so I thought that Hua Nation was the only base of the resistance." Many people's expressions changed slightly when they heard this. The first seat on the left was occupied by the people of Weiyu Mountain, who represented the blessed paradises. The first seat on the right was occupied by Wang Ruobing, who represented the realm beyond Avalon. Hearing this, Wang Hanyue saw that the surrounding experts were silent. She thought for a moment and slowly said, "We are in deep slumber in the sky beyond heavens. There are some things that we do not know." Fong Ping pressed his hands together and smiled. "I'm not blaming anyone. In your eyes, there's no difference between the catacombs and Earth. I'm sure all of you agree with me, right?" On the left, Jiang Kuei sat ramrod straight. He smiled faintly. "That's right. Minister Fong, cut to the chase. We're all martial arts powerhouses. Let's get straight to the point. In our eyes, the human world, Earth martial artists, catacombs martial artists, are all people of the three realms. There's no distinction between us and enemies, and there's no difference in camps." Fong Ping nodded slightly and smiled. "That makes sense. Everyone's standing in different positions. In your era, maybe the lives of Earth martial artists are not as precious as the lives of catacombs martial artists. It's understandable." Jiang Kuei smiled faintly. "It's good that Minister Fong understands." Fong Ping did not continue this topic. He went back to the main topic. "Today, the most important reason for everyone to gather here is the matter of the King Battleground. The King Battleground, which is also the graveyard of gods in your words. I think Weiyu Mountain and Taibai Mountain should know more about this place than we do." Fong Ping looked at Jiang Kuei and Xianhua, smiling. "Both of you, before we get down to business, if you don't mind, can you tell us about the general situation?" Jiang Kuei did not speak. Xianhua pondered for a moment and said slowly, "Then I'll tell you briefly. The Graveyard of Gods used to be the dojo of the two emperors, Tianji and Tianming. Tianji and Tianming." Someone interrupted him. Elder Yulong Tian asked with a slightly strange expression, "Were there two emperors?" Xianhua smiled. "They were the two temple masters of the demon god temple during the era of the earthly emperor god dynasty. They led the demons back then, so it's them." Now, the other party had no more doubts. Fong Ping asked curiously, "Tianji King and Tianming King, weren't they originally called that?" "Of course not," Xianhua explained. "They were originally the two temple masters of the earthly emperor god dynasty's demon god temple. Back then, they were in charge of the demons in the three realms. The demons' rebellion, the gods' mounts, these were all things that they were in charge of." The zoo director? Fong Ping made a joke that was not funny. Everyone was cold. Below, Jiang Chao saw this and quickly laughed. "That should be what they mean." Su Haoran glared at him. "You're not qualified to speak. Shut up." Ignoring him, Xianhua continued. "When the Earth Emperor God dynasty was destroyed, these two temple masters led their remaining troops and gathered some experts and survivors of the Earth Emperor God dynasty to escape to the current territory." Fong Ping had heard Gong Zhuanzi mention this before, but he didn't mind listening to it again. These were all secrets. Fong Ping knew, but the others, including some sacred grounds, didn't know. Only now did these people understand. So that was it? Soon, Xianhua talked about the war that broke out. Back then, we were going to use the Great Lock Dragon Formation to completely destroy the cultivation path of the earthly Emperor God dynasty. But in the end, something happened before the formation was completed. Xianhua said solemnly. It was the emperors of the 10 grotto heavens who proposed this. The core of the formation was also in the 10 grotto heavens. As a result, some of the formation eyes in the 10 grotto heavens were broken, which led to people attacking the grotto heavens and killing a large number of our disciples. Jiang Ke said indifferently, the formation eyes in Weiyu Mountain were not broken, but Wangwu Mountain was the first to be broken. If you want to know, you can go to Wangwu Mountain and ask. Xianhua immediately shut his mouth and changed the topic. The formations I will only be broken after the battle begins. Now that I think about it, someone must have intervened secretly. That year, the war between the North and the South happened, and it was chaotic. At that time, Tianji and Tianming were cracking the earthly emperor's relics. It was related to the seed of rebirth and the great path of the emperor. At first, not all the emperors went. But the emperors who went first soon started a war. It was very chaotic at that time, and the emperors of the north and south suddenly started fighting. Xianhua said with a sigh. At that time, both sides had a deep grudge against each other. But before that, it was limited to those below the emperor level. Coincidentally, both sides' emperors were there, and they quickly started fighting. Fang Ping listened for a while, then asked, how many emperors participated in the war? Xianhua explained, back then, there were 10 grotto heavens, 36 grotto heavens, 62 blessed lands. 108 in total. I know what you're going to say. I heard that there are 72 blessed lands recorded now, but the extra 10 were probably added by later generations. These 10 didn't exist back then. 108 of them formed the formation eyes of the Great Lock Dragon Formation. 108 families and 46 Grotto Heavens Masters were all Emperor's powerhouses. As for the blessed lands, some of them weren't ruled by emperors. Among the 62 families, there should be 20 emperors. Therefore, during the peak of the sect, these 60 emperors were in charge. Everyone was shocked. 60 emperor-ranked experts. Fang Ping was also shocked. 60 emperors, and now only 8 are left? 52 emperor-level experts died in that battle? That's not the case. Xianhua shook his head, a little conflicted, but he quickly said, actually, after that war ended, there were more than 8 Grotto Heavens and Blessed Lands left. 1,000 years ago, there were actually 12, but 4 of them were destroyed. Unquestionable sword? That's right. Xianhua nodded. It's him. When he entered the land realm, not only did he kill some land realm powerhouses, but also powerhouses from the Grotto Heavens and Blessed Lands. The people from the Grotto Heavens and Blessed Lands also schemed against him. I'm not sure about that. Xianhua was only a rank 9, so he did not know about this. He continued, even so, there were dozens of emperors who died in that war. This was also the battle with the greatest loss after the destruction of the heaven realm. Even when the outer heavens besieged the earthly emperor god dynasty, there weren't as many emperors who died. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The entire land realm was bathed in blood. That year, we had already returned to the Grotto Heavens and entered a deep slumber. We don't know how long the blood rain lasted, but before we fell asleep, it was still raining. Xianhua's gaze was complicated, unforgettable to this day. Of the 108 domains, a total of 96 had been destroyed in that battle. Before this, no one had expected it to be like this. Fang Ping sneered inwardly. After a while, he said, so many people died, but the sky and plant kings are still alive? So many emperor-level powerhouses went to look for these too, but they were still alive? Are you kidding me? Xianhua's expression was slightly gloomy. At this moment, Jiang Kuei suddenly said, the two of them are not the only 2 emperors left in the earthly emperor god dynasty. In that battle, there were powerhouses from the earthly emperor god dynasty who came to help in misery, but most of them were killed. Then why didn't they kill them? Fang Ping could not understand. They had already fought to this point, and there were still 12 territories left. Jiang Kuei paused for a while, then said, there are some things that you people of later generations don't understand. That day, at the end of the battle, every sect was in danger. The sect sent people over. Some powerhouses attacked the Grotto Heavens and slaughtered their disciples. The Great Lock Dragon Formation was broken, and the people were in chaos. Xianhua nodded. That's right. Not only that, in the end, the sect leader and the others actually sensed danger. Another group of people appeared. At that time, the sect leader and the others were already seriously injured. They wanted to kill Tianji and Tianming, who were also seriously injured, but powerhouses arrived, and they had no choice but to leave. There was a third party? Fang Ping raised an eyebrow. The cults? I think so. Xianhu said again. The war between the North and the South was also related to these people. They were the ones who stirred up trouble in the dark. They were probably the ones who stirred up the war in the dark, and the sect leader suspects that the 108 blessed Grotto Heavens were infiltrated by them. In that battle, a few emperors attacked first, causing the war to break out, and the war between the North and the South erupted completely. These people might all be from the cults. Fang Ping said emotionally, I didn't expect this. The cults that are not even worth mentioning in my eyes were so glorious, leading a war between dozens of emperors and hundreds of true gods. In the end, you just had to be tricked. Do you think it's that easy? Xianhua didn't want to say anything. The situation at that time was already a mess, and it wasn't easy to stay out of it. Fang Ping smiled and continued. So, even in the end, you still couldn't get the Demon Emperor's relic. No, Xianhua said again. The earthly emperor's relic wasn't actually in the hands of the two kings. The trigger for the war was actually this. That day, the two emperors threw the earthly emperor's relic into the space battlefield, which led to a large number of emperors, including most of the true god powerhouses, to enter the space battlefield. If it wasn't for that, the two of them would have been killed a long time ago. Because they threw this away, it led to the subsequent events. The emperors were all trapped inside, and in a frenzy of killing, no one was willing to let the other go. Fang Ping began to rub his chin. Old Zhang, is that you? Are you an old antique who has lived for thousands of years? Damn, the more he listened, the more familiar it sounded. Wasn't this old Zhang's plan? So, a few thousand years ago, in the land of imperial battlefields, someone had already done this. Moreover, he was even more amazing than old Zhang, luring dozens of emperors and hundreds of true gods into the battlefield, killing more than half of them in the end, and only a small half survived. This was what you called amazing. The leader of the evil sect? Fang Ping calculated in his heart. This matter could really be led by the other party. If there were no accidents, the two kings might also be a member of this huge organization, or they might be working with the evil sect. Thousands of years ago, these people had suffered a great loss. Fang Ping was a little worried about old Zhang's plan. They had been tricked once. Would they fall for it a second time? Fang Ping continued to listen and soon laughed. Senior Xianhua, you mean the earthly emperor's relic is still in the space battlefield in the land of imperial battlefields? That's right. How is that possible? Fang Ping laughed. It's been thousands of years. Are the two kings idiots who don't know how to get it back? Xianhua felt a little helpless at his retort and quickly said, in the war that year, the space battlefield was badly damaged. In the end, everyone escaped from here because the battlefield was too damaged, the space was chaotic, and it was extremely dangerous. At that time, the two kings were also seriously injured, so they wouldn't enter. As for later, even if they woke up, they wouldn't dare to enter. You've been to the graveyard of the gods, so you should know the situation. The origin of that place is extremely chaotic, and the entrance to the battlefield is actually in the cracks of the origin of chaos. If the two kings want to enter, they have to tear the origin of chaos, and then their hiding place will be broken. It hasn't been broken until now, which means they haven't entered. At this time, the golden-haired powerhouse from the Hall of Gods also said, that's right, His Holiness the Sun God also said this. The two kings probably haven't left their imperial palace. Once they leave, the origin of chaos in the land of imperial battlefields will be torn apart, and today's land of imperial battlefields will no longer exist. The Sun God also knows about this. His Holiness the Subduing King of Star City should also know about this. Fang Ping nodded slightly. The Subduing King didn't say anything, but it didn't mean that he didn't know. Since he tacitly allowed Star City to join, it meant that it was true, or else the Subduing King wouldn't have let them come. Then this time, everyone's goal is to obtain the Demon Emperor's relic, and the relic is in the space battlefield, right? Su Haoran also spoke at this time. The two kings have never left the imperial palace, so the land of imperial battlefields still exists. Right now, everyone is watching the two kings, and if they haven't fully recovered from their injuries, I'm afraid they won't leave rashly and break the final barrier. So, this is actually our chance. The reason why everyone is organizing people to seize the relic is to take advantage of this time gap, lest the two kings completely recover, enter the battlefield, and take away the earthly sovereign's relic. At that time, it will be difficult to seize it. After all, they are two top-notch powerhouses, and we don't know if there are other powerhouses still alive in their imperial palace. Once they enter the space battlefield, The scene of the past might repeat itself. Su Howard said, pausing before continuing. Star City's intention is to go in first, get the relic, break the boundary wall, and expose the two kings to everyone. When that time comes, it will be their problem, and it has nothing to do with us. Fong Ping didn't care about this. Fong Ping did not care about this. He asked curiously, is the chaos origin so influential? Even emperor-rank powerhouses don't dare to enter? Jiang Kuei glanced at him, saying calmly, do you know what the origin of chaos is? It's hundreds of incomparably chaotic great Tao, entangled together, broken great Tao, densely covering the entire world. The heaven and earth rule in that area has been broken. After so many years, it still hasn't calmed down. The great Tao of a true God powerhouse has completely manifested. Once they enter, the chaotic great Tao will affect their path. Actually, before this, as long as it's a martial artist who has comprehended the origin, they will be affected, affecting the space of origin. But now that time has passed, the heaven and earth rule here has calmed down. The path of some of the weaker ones will no longer be affected. When he mentioned the chaotic great Tao, Fong Ping somewhat understood. The terrain of the battlefield of the kings had been changing, and he somewhat understood why. The Tao of origin was also a manifestation of willpower. Strong willpower, chaotic beyond compare, actually also affected the judgment of the weaker ones. Perhaps the terrain of the battlefield of the kings had not actually changed. The only thing that changed was what you saw. Generally understanding everything, Fong Ping laughed. Are you sure the two kings won't make a move? Everyone frowned slightly. Below, Hong Ji interrupted. Probably not. Once they make a move, they will automatically break the origin of chaos. But I heard that there are some living dead true gods there. Without the Tao of origin, they are similar to emperor corpses. They might really be emperor corpses. These emperor corpses are extremely powerful, Jiang Kuei said in a low voice. That's why more people are needed to deal with these powerhouses who died in battle back then. Otherwise, one side can just go alone. Why go through so much trouble? Back then, there were dozens of emperors who died in battle, hundreds of true gods. Who knew how many corpses the two kings had collected? This place was much more dangerous than unquestionable Jian's emperor's tomb. Not only emperor corpses, but also true god corpses. There were also a large number of rank 9 and rank 8 powerhouses who died in battle. The entire sect era's elites were almost wiped out in one fell swoop in this place. If not for these concerns, the catacombs might have arranged for people to enter long ago. In these years of exploring the battlefield of the kings, the catacombs had collected a lot of information. Back then, an emperor corpse appeared and killed many rank 9s. That was just the tip of the iceberg. The emperor corpses that unquestionable Jian cultivated were actually not complete. Their energy had long dissipated. Unquestionable Jian used Heavenly Emperor Zhan's heart to cultivate the corpses, actually connecting the emperor corpses and the heart together. If the heart was not broken that day, these emperor corpses might really be able to recover to emperor-level strength. Unfortunately, it was broken later, which was why these emperor corpses did not continue to recover. Even so, Qi Huanyu and the rest could not take down the emperor corpses. It was clear from this. So, everyone has come out this time? Fong Ping laughed. But I still have to make it clear, how many earthly emperor's relics are there? How many? Everyone has come out, probably for this reason. Now we are discussing about cooperation. What's the end? Fong Ping said to himself. How many people will each side send? Who will deal with those living dead? Who will deal with the catacombs powerhouses? Honestly, it's a mess. It's better not to cooperate. Each doing their own thing. It's not easy for a group of martial artists who are not of one mind to accomplish one thing. Don't be afraid of godlike opponents, but be afraid of pig-like teammates. I've seen this too many times. Over at the catacombs, there are too many pig-like teammates. It's not the first time that our own people hurt our own people. The original strength of 100 people, when scattered, is still 100 people. When gathered together, they can't even compare to 10 people. Fong Ping said mockingly, what we're looking at is not the number of people, but the unity. If there are too many pig-like teammates, they will only hold us back. Everyone looked at him one after another. His words were unclear. There was the possibility of everyone being scolded while pointing at the mulberry tree. Fong Ping ignored them. He picked up his teacup and took a sip, smiling faintly. Don't look at me like that. I'm just saying the truth. If we can't even accept this, how can we cooperate? On Yu Longtian's side, the weathered old man chuckled softly. Then, Minister Fong's intention is to recommend a leader? Since everyone is here, don't tell me you don't have this intention? Fong Ping said amusedly. If you don't have this intention, why are you still here? Take Yu Longtian and Wei Yishan, for example. If you don't have this intention, you might as well go alone. Is there a need to form a clique? A straightforward person does not resort to insinuations. Everyone is well aware of it, so there's no need to pretend to be ignorant. As Fong Ping said that, he continued, the catacombs are not easy to deal with. There are thousands of rank 9 powerhouses in the 4 majestic halls and the outer domain. Plus, some grandmasters are in the catacombs. They might even cooperate with the catacombs. Out of the 500 people on the ranking list, more than half might come this time. They're all powerhouses. If they come in groups of 3 to 5, they won't even know how they died. Also, will the Forbidden Sea intervene this time? There are many powerhouses in the Forbidden Sea's Demon Clan too. Now, rank 9s are everywhere. All kinds of monsters and demons have appeared. Minister Fong's intention is to elect one party as the leader this time, and the 4 parties will respect that party? Fong Ping chuckled. No, I don't mean that. What I mean is, this time Sino Nation will lead. Everyone should listen to it. Everyone did not pay attention to the first half of his sentence. When Fong Ping said the second half, everyone's expression changed slightly. This fellow had no intention of concealing it at all. Too direct. So direct that it made people at a loss. Did anyone not understand what he meant? It was not a discussion. It was to tell everyone that Sino Nation would lead this time. Everyone just had to listen to it. What recommendation? There was no need for that. Beside Fong Ping, Wu Quishan and the rest also looked at Fong Ping. Wu Quishan smiled bitterly. This kid was really direct. Could he at least be more tactful? If he said that, would everyone agree to it? This was actually a great opportunity. Wu Quishan did not care about the treasures. What he cared about was, there would be many catacombs, rank 9s, entering this time. Kill. Kill as many as you can. The catacomb's strength and human strength were too unbalanced. The high-end strength was still fine. Now that Grandmasters, Borderlands, and overseas Immortal Islands had appeared, these powerhouses would become the balance point. However, other than these top-notch strength, the gap between rank 9 was also frighteningly huge. Humans only had about 300 rank 9s in the entire world. What about the catacombs? What about the Forbidden Sea? They were so many that it was terrifying. In the 108 outer domains alone, there were close to 2,000 rank 9s. The last time they killed more than 100 rank 9s, the catacombs did not actually suffer a huge loss. Wu Quishan's idea was to unite all parties this time. It did not matter even if they did not become the leader. The key was to borrow strength to fight strength, to borrow strength from all parties to kill the catacombs' rank 9 powerhouses. This way, when a great war broke out in the future, when high-end strength confronted each other, humans could have the power to fight back. Now that Fong Ping was so powerful, could they still achieve their goal? The atmosphere was extremely quiet. Some countries' representatives did not say a word. They were just there to watch the show. The 6 Holy Lands informed them to participate. Actually, they had the intention of using them as cannon fodder. Other than the 6 Holy Lands, the only country on Earth that had the right to lead was actually Sino Nation. There were too many powerhouses in the 4 factions and 4 residences. Everyone had no choice but to compromise. Chapter 934. In the main hall, Fong Ping sipped his tea unhurriedly. He said calmly, "Let's choose the leader first, then we'll talk business. Otherwise, if we can't come to an agreement, it'll be a waste of time." Is China very strong? At that moment, Jiang Kuei said slowly, "How many people from China are on the leaderboard?" Fong Ping looked at him and smiled. I can tell that Wei Yishan wants to be the leader, right? Not bad. Jiang Ke did not deny it and said straightforwardly, other than me, Weiyu Mountain has 6 other experts on the excellence list this time. Other than that, Su Yun flew into the Weiyu Mountain. There were 8 people on the honor list, 10 origin source beasts, and 10 origin source realm disciples. Minister Fong, is this strength enough? 28 rank 9s. There were 8 powerhouses on the Wind Cloud ranking list. Su Yunfei ranked 5th, and Jiang Kuei ranked 11th. There were a total of 500 people on the leaderboard. China had a total of 20 people on it. It was not a small number, or rather a lot. But Kong Lingyuan, who was ranked at the top, was just a decoration. In the top 10, other than Kong Lingyuan, Su Yunfei was next. Next, it was none other than Old Man Li. Old Man Li was ranked 18, but this 18 was still an exaggeration, the kind that was overstated. Now, if Kong Lingyuan did not go, and Su Yun flew to Weiyu Mountain, then the strongest rank 9 in China would be Old Man Li, followed by Wu Quishan and Wu Chuan. Was this kind of strength enough to lead everyone? Jiang Kuei said calmly, Wei Yishan has no intention of becoming enemies with anyone. But no matter what era it was, strength reigned supreme. This was the conclusion. Of all the forces in the palace, Wayfeather Mountain was the most powerful. On this trip to the necropolis of the gods, Wayfeather Mountain knew the situation there better than anyone else. Division Head Fong, we personally participated in this battle back then, and after experiencing it, we know some top secrets, the right time, and the right place were all on Weiyu Mountain. Since that's the case, can't Wei Yishan be the alliance leader this time? The surroundings were extremely quiet. Fong Ping laughed. He looked at the powerhouses from all sides and said slowly, What do you think? Someone in Sino Nation wants to fight with me to be the boss. Is this what you mean? Wu Quishan coughed lightly. Restrain yourself. Fong Ping ignored him. He looked at Wang Ruobing, who was seated on the upper right, and chuckled. Ruobing, Long Chantian, listen to me before you act this time. You don't have any objections, do you? Wang Ruobing was a little confused. The way he addressed her was so intimate, and she was not used to it. She really did not know Fong Ping that well. However, when Fong Ping said that, she nodded subconsciously. Fong Ping laughed. That's good. Dragon transformation is not a problem. As he said that, Fong Ping looked at Hong Ji, Su Bing, and the others, saying mildly, Heavenly Legion, are you going to listen to Wei Yishan? Su Bing, Hong Ji, and the others looked at each other. Soon, Su Bing said, I will naturally listen to Minister Fong, but Xianming, Sovereign Lord Xianming, is prepared to turn hostiles? Fong Ping said playfully, Is that what you mean? Su Bing's expression fluctuated. These words. After a while, Su Bing said dejectedly, Minister Fong, you misunderstood. Xianming Tian has no objections. 5 of the 6 grandmasters listen to the Heaven Division. Yu Long Tian, Senior Yu Su, what do you think? On Yu Long Tian's side, the old man's eyebrows twitched. He did not expect Fong Ping to be so straightforward, forcing everyone to express their opinions the moment he arrived. Yu Su did not speak. For a moment, he was actually a little hesitant. Fong Ping suddenly ignored him and looked at Star Town, smiling. Senior Su, what do you think? Su Hara nodded. Star Town listens to the Heaven Division's orders. Star Town, the leader of the 6 holy lands, has no objections. Do the other 5 holy lands have any objections? No one said a word. Fong Ping looked at Xianhua again, smiling. Senior Xianhua, there shouldn't be any problems with Xuan de Grotto Heaven, right? Xianhua looked at Jiang Kuei, then at Fong Ping, saying slowly, As long as Minister Fong does not deliberately harm the mystic virtues, then there should be no problem. How can that be? I, Fong Ping, am not that kind of person. I have always been ruthless to my enemies, but to my friends, I am like a spring breeze. Fong Ping smiled brightly. He looked at Jiang Kuei, whose expression had changed slightly, and smiled faintly. Is Wei Yishan very strong? Is 28 rank 9s a lot? Senior Su Yunfei, you are ranked 5th on the leaderboard, which is also the highest ranking powerhouse. I can't be bothered with your relationship with Wei Yishan. However, when it comes to the battlefield, you have to listen to Sino Nation's arrangements. Obey military orders during wartime. This is the first order that Sino Nation's neo-martial artists must obey. Senior Su, I have no objections if you can protect the people of Waishan. I am not a person who forces people against their will. Repaying a favor is a must. Repaying favors is also a virtue of neo-martial artists. However, when it comes to a critical moment, Fong Ping's voice became serious. Then you have to listen to my arrangements. If you disobey military orders during wartime, Senior Su Haoran, you know the consequences of disobeying orders. You can inform Senior Yunfei. Su Haoran looked at his second grandmaster, sighing softly. Disobeying orders during wartime will result in death. Su Yunfei's expression changed slightly. He said in a low voice, I know Sino Nation's military orders. If the situation is critical, I will obey military orders. Thank you for understanding, Senior. Fong Ping laughed, looking at Jiang Kuei again. Does Waishan have any other questions? Brother Jiang Kuei, if you think it's okay, you can ask for everyone's opinion. Jiang Kuei exhaled softly, a smile returning to his face. He said, Minister Fong is really bold. With just a few words, everyone compromised so easily. This was beyond Jiang Kuei's expectations. It was too easy. Among the 6 great grandmasters, other than Yulong Tian, who was not too sure, the other 5 did not object. Even Yulong Tian and Yu Shuzi did not seem to have any strong objections. Taibai Mountain also agreed without hesitation. This was also beyond Jiang Kuei's expectations. What surprised him even more was Su Yunfei's attitude. Strictly speaking, Su Yunfei was also considered a disciple of Waishan. In recent years, it was slightly different from the other boundaries. Waishan had invested in Su Yunfei, which was why he had entered 10th-stage origin so quickly. Now, Fong Ping had casually said obey military orders during wartime, and Su Yunfei had betrayed them. Yes, he had betrayed them. Sect disciples regarded the sect as their god. This was how a sect disciple should be. Now, Su Yunfei had accepted Fong Ping's suggestion. For a moment, Jiang Kuei was furious and annoyed. Fong Ping, on the other hand, was very calm. Was Jiang Kuei an idiot? Was he negotiating terms with him? Would the forces that came this time dare to disobey him? Even if Xianming's sect and the others had countless schemes in their hearts, they still had to obey on the surface. Those who disobeyed were all dead. Waishan had opened the passageway to Earth without permission. Fong Ping did not even blow up about it. At least Xuanda Grotto Heaven knew that they had gone through the catacombs before, so they did not open the passageway without permission. Waishan had opened the passageway directly. Just for this, Fong Ping was prepared to find some trouble. Sino Nation was about to become a sieve. If this matter was not suppressed, there would be big problems sooner or later. Fong Ping thought in his heart. He looked at Jiang Kuei again and smiled. Brother Jiang, things have come to this. The minority should obey the majority. After entering the battlefield, I will command Waishan here. Everyone, listen to the Heavenly Department's arrangements. Jiang Kuei frowned. Cooperation does not mean obedience. Even if Waishan is leading everyone this time, it is cooperation and discussion, not obedience. Minister Fong, what you mean is, Waishan has to listen to orders like a slave? Slave? Fong Ping smiled. Brother Jiang, you misunderstood. Everyone is working together. That is why there is strength in numbers. Otherwise, they will be holding us back. Brother Jiang, Fong Ping's tone became serious. There are many things to do. This matter ends here. Martial artists are efficient. Don't delay it anymore. Waishan, either you don't listen to the arrangements, or you enter the battlefield yourself. However, once you enter the battlefield, you will either be a teammate or an enemy. I will not differentiate between friend and foe. Jiang Kuei's gaze suddenly turned cold. Fong Ping was too domineering. Waishan, even in ancient times, even when the heavenly realm still existed, had actually existed. Of course, Waishan was not in this place back then. Venerable Emperor Qing Tong, was one of the oldest venerable emperors. Although Heavenly Emperor Dragon Transformation was ranked 8th, it meant that he was not afraid of death. It did not mean that he was stronger than Emperor Qing Tong. Not only that, even the ranking of Second King was not recognized. In the top 10 of the Emperor ranking, only Heavenly King Suppression and Devil Emperor were recognized. As for Cat, including Zhang Tao and the rest, they were not recognized by some powerhouses. What right did Fang Ping have to be so arrogant with Wei Yishan? Jiang Ke was about to rage when he suddenly felt a chill in his heart. At this moment, Fang Ping was also looking at him, his eyes cold. Fang Ping! Wu Quishan shouted telepathically. Fang Ping's eyes were cold. Even Wu Quishan felt that something was wrong. What was this guy doing? Fang Ping suddenly restrained himself and said with a smile, Vice-Chancellor, I'm fine. Wei Yishan is very strong, but no matter how strong he is, he still has to follow the rules. Some rules must be followed, otherwise, the minister's feat of killing Great Peace Heavenly Emperor would become a joke. Why did the minister want to kill Great Peace? Why did he have to kill him, even if he was severely injured? Vice-Chancellor, you should understand. As soon as this was said, Wu Quishan was slightly stunned. He somewhat understood. Zhang Tao's intention had always been very clear. On Earth, one must listen and follow the rules. No matter who broke the rules, they would not hesitate to fight. Great Peace Heavenly Emperor opened the Great Peace Skies portal without permission, entered the catacombs from Earth, and then surrounded Fang Ping. This was not following the rules. Therefore, Great Peace Heavenly Emperor was dead. Now, Wei Yishan also opened the portal without permission, even if this portal had always been there. They could open it freely thousands of years ago, but not now. Once this matter was ignored, the other Outlanders and domains would follow suit. Then, the effect of Zhang Tao killing Taiyan would be lost. Wu Quishan suddenly laughed at himself. Knowing was one thing. He really did not think much about it before. But now, looking at Fang Ping's intention, it seemed like he was taking the initiative to find trouble. This kid is of the same lineage as old Zhang. He's strong and domineering to the outside world, not considering the consequences at all. That's right. If you think too much, people will be afraid. Wu Quishan felt a little emotional. Suddenly, he somewhat understood the reason for his slow progress these days. The more he knew, the more afraid he seemed. He knew that Wei Yishan was very strong, so he was a little afraid that Fang Ping would fall out with the other party. So, what he considered was to talk slowly, talk nicely, seek common ground while reserving differences. But obviously, Zhang Tao did not mean that. Neither did Fang Ping. Therefore, the leadership of this meeting was in Fang Ping's hands, not him, the acting minister of the Ministry of Education. This kid has really matured. I thought he was being impulsive. Now, it seems that he understands the minister's intention. Wu Quishan was somewhat gratified, but also somewhat sorrowful. Young people grew too fast. He even felt that he was old. At that moment, Fang Ping's gaze was extremely cold. His murderous aura was restrained. It was not just one or two people who sensed it. Below, Su Bing and the others did not say a word. They had seen Fang Ping in this state before, when he killed the dragon monster. At that time, Fang Ping also had the same gaze. Then, without hesitation, he killed the dragon monster. Could it be that he wanted to kill Jiang Ke? Su Bing and the others felt a slight chill in their hearts. Jiang Ke was the descendant of Venerable Emperor Qing Tong, a direct descendant, a powerhouse at the top of the ranking list, one step away from becoming a true god. If Jiang Ke was killed, Venerable Emperor Qing Tong would probably be furious, right? At this moment, Xianhua laughed. Brother Jiang, after all, you and I have not left the mountain for many years. Fang Ping and the others have been exploring the Graveyard of Gods for many years. The Graveyard of Gods now is different from before. Since Fang Ping is willing to lead this matter, then let him be. Jiang Ke gave Fang Ping a deep look and said slowly, Okay. Fang Ping glanced at Xianhua. This old man looked like he wanted to be a peacemaker. Fang Ping did not say much. He took advantage of the situation and said, That's good. After this meeting, all 28 powerhouses of Weiyu Mountain will come to the Heaven Division to listen to orders and arrangements. As I said before, obey military orders during wartime. Those who disobey will be killed. Jiang Kuei suppressed the anger in his heart and said softly, "We'll just meet in the Earth Division." That won't do. We need to make some arrangements and get familiar with our new teammates. What do you mean? What I said. Fong Ping said simply, disorganize and reorganize. All powerhouses will be divided into several teams. In other words, Brother Jiang has no right to break up the team at that time. Otherwise, you'll be killed. Fong Ping, you seem to be targeting me? Targeting Weiyu Mountain? Jiang Kuei's expression was gloomy. He could hear it. This person was targeting him, targeting Weiyu Mountain. He did not understand and was a little angry. Weiyu Mountain was being targeted by the martial artists of the human world. Brother Jiang worries too much. Fong Ping was still calm, but his eyes were burning as he looked at him. Yes, I'm targeting you. I don't say it, but that's what I mean. Sino Nation may be weak, but it's not afraid of those who do not abide by the rules. Would anyone intervene when old Zhang went against Emperor Qing Tong? No one would intervene. At most, old Zhang would be heavily injured again. This time, he might as well be on the verge of death. What was there to be afraid of? When that time comes, Weiyu Mountain will be destroyed. As for the venerable emperors of the bounded boundaries, they would send people out. Old Zhang promised to spare them this time. They would see when the time comes. No matter what, the rules could not be broken at this time. If that happened, Sino Nation would not be able to control it anymore. Chaos was often triggered by these small things. After saying that, Fong Ping ignored Jiang Ke and continued calmly. Also, I'll say a few small things. They're very small things. Everyone just listen. First, all martial artists who leave Outland and the bounded boundaries must go to the Martial Arts Association to apply for a martial arts license. You must remember. Second, under normal circumstances, no flying is allowed unless there's a war or an urgent military situation. The situation now is different from before. There are planes in the sky. I heard that some people don't understand the rules and fly randomly in the sky. They almost caused a few air disasters in the past 2 days. Fong Ping's eyes were cold. One plane, hundreds of passengers, hundreds of lives. Are you all blind? You don't even look? Did the rank 8 and 9 cultivation go to waste? Can't you see such a big plane? Someone has already stopped them, and there are still people who insist on going forward to check. Are you all so thick-skinned? Fong Ping stood up abruptly and looked at Long Tian and the rest. He said coldly, "Next time, if any of you fly recklessly in the sky again, I'll kill you directly. Not only once, but twice you almost caused an air disaster. Are the people who accompanied you idiots? Didn't they know to report to the Sky Division and send people to kill those bastards?" Yusu's expression changed slightly. After a moment, he said slowly, "Minister Fong, you've misunderstood. Some disciples don't know about modern technology. They're a little curious. Curiosity kills." Fong Ping said coldly, "Almost 1,000 people. It's not that no one stopped you. The first time is fine, but the second time, why did you still go near the plane to check? When there were more powerhouses, it would really be chaotic. Modern martial artists all knew that when flying in the sky, the altitude should not be too high. If they encountered a plane, they would sense it in advance and avoid it in advance. However, these people did not know this. These days, some flights had to be canceled because there were too many people flying randomly in the sky. No one cared about the martial artists' no flying order in the past, but now it had to be put on the agenda. Martial artists had seriously interfered with the lives of ordinary people. Seeing that Yusu was afraid, Fong Ping's tone softened a little. If there's a third time, when the time comes, Senior Yusu and Heavenly Emperor Yulong, don't blame us for being merciless. Neo-martial artists fight all their lives for the ordinary people who are insignificant in your eyes. Now, you have already interfered with the lives of ordinary people. Fong Ping went a little overboard just now. Senior, please don't blame me." Yusu had also recovered from his tense state. With a smile on his face, he said, Minister Fong, don't worry. It's also our first time out of Grandmaster. I heard that the Sky Division has a training place. If Minister Fong doesn't think everyone is stupid, you can arrange for people to help train them. Next time, this can be avoided. Fong Ping laughed. That's not a problem. This is how business is. You're good. I'm good. Everyone is good. Senior, don't take it to heart. I'm young, just over 20 years old. Hot-blooded, sometimes I don't think before I speak. The corner of Yu Su's mouth twitched slightly. He smiled and did not reply. What he said was not easy to reply. It was fine if he did not think before he spoke. He was afraid that if he did, he would still say it. After he said it, he would not think before he acted. His death would be in vain. Fong Ping seemed to be this kind of person. Did he really not think before? That might not be the case. As for those who were over 20 years old, he did not want to say anything. The above two rules are what all martial artists who enter Earth must abide by. Fong Ping continued. The third rule. All the portals that lead to Earth from Grandmaster and Bounded Lands must not be opened without authorization. Even if it is opened, there must be people from the 4 departments and 4 prefectures present. We will build a hall at the place where everyone is at. All the rules will be in accordance with Black Light Palace. The fourth rule, therefore, martial artists who leave Grandmaster and Bounded Lands must receive a week of basic general knowledge training. Learn Sino Nation's laws. Those who violate the rules will be punished according to the law. The fifth rule, without permission, you are not allowed to fight, compete, or hurt others. Fight and learn from each other according to the rules. Even if it's a life and death battle, don't worry. If you want to die, there will be people who will fight with you. Fong Ping bared his teeth and laughed coldly. Remember, you are a rank 9. If you want a life and death battle, there will be rank 9s who will fight with you. There are true gods and emperor levels. There are not many powerhouses in Sino Nation, but don't worry, I will satisfy everyone. I promise that everything will be fair and just. For example, if Venerable Emperor Qing Tong wants a life and death battle, don't worry, I will help him find an opponent. There will be no outsiders involved in the fight between two people. Life and death is determined by fate. As soon as he said that, Jiang Kuei's expression finally changed. He asked coldly, Fong Ping, what do you mean by that? Its literal meaning. Don't you understand? Fong Ping looked at him and smiled. 5 rules. That's not a lot. You must abide by them. If you don't, then I will find someone to fight with you. One-on-one fair, right? You can go back and ask Venerable Emperor Qing Tong if he wants to accept it. It just so happens that Minister Zhang has been injured recently. Maybe you can kill Minister Zhang. If you kill him, you can break the rules. Jiang Kuei's expression changed again. Fong Ping suddenly shouted coldly, since you don't dare, then you must follow Sino Nation's rules. Who gave you the guts to open the portal to Earth without permission? Who gave you the guts to move in Sino Nation's territory without permission? You even used the flight step. Do you believe that I will treat you as an enemy attack and kill you? Humph! Fong Ping snorted coldly. He looked around. Ignoring Jiang Kuei's expression, he said coldly again, this time, everyone is here. I will say this. If you kill all the martial artists, then all the rules will no longer be rules. If you do not kill all of them, then you must defend. It's that simple. This time, there will be no civilian casualties. This is a warning. If you cause civilian casualties, you will have to pay with your life. A life for a life. Your lives are not as valuable as theirs. In my eyes, you are not as valuable as them. These are my words. Everyone here, if you think it's inappropriate, you can talk to me. I don't care what the ranking on the leaderboard is. Fong Ping, will accept it. As he said this, Fong Ping kept looking at Jiang Kuei. It was blatant, without any concealment. In the basilica, there was dead silence. Outside the basilica, the powerhouses cast their gazes over. It was eerily quiet, but their gazes were terrifying. Su Bing seemed to have returned to that day, to the day Suo Jiao was killed. This was not the human world. Fong Ping and the others were evil spirits from hell. They had no qualms at all. Who cared about venerable emperors? Venerable emperors had someone to carry them. If they could not, then they would die. If they could, then they would dare to kill until rivers of blood flowed. This was a group of powerhouses who had truly walked out of despair. Fearless and courageous. Many people understood the martial artists for the first time. On the side of Xuan de Grotto Heaven, Xianhua looked much more serious this time. He looked at Fong Ping, no longer arrogant. These people were not to be trifled with. On the upper right side, Wang Hanyue and Wang Ruobing could not help but look at Fong Ping again and again. Just over 20 years old, it was hard for them to imagine what this person had gone through. Behind Su Haoran, Jiang Chao was smiling so widely that the fats on his face were squeezed together. He sent a voice transmission. Grandpa Su, domineering, right? Domineering, right? Look, do you dare to say anything? F*CK, this is awesome. I knew it. There will never be a time when I follow Fong Ping and the others. 6 outer heavens and 2 bounded domains represented 8 venerable emperors. But Fong Ping still scolded them in front of their faces. Who dared to say anything? Aside from the venerable emperors, there were many powerhouses on the ranking list. Jiang Kuei and the others were ranked much higher than Fong Ping, but they still gave up. Jiang Chao was excited. This was awesome. Su Haoran did not know whether to laugh or cry. He had to admit that Fong Ping was really brave. Since he had said that everyone present would come to him if they were not convinced, then if Jiang Kuei came to him now, he would dare to accept. If it was someone else, they would ask themselves, even if the Heavenly King's suppression was so powerful and the Su family's elder ancestor was not weak, would he dare to say something like this here? He would not dare. Su Haoran sighed softly in his heart. He would not dare. At this moment, not only them, but even the powerhouses from the other 5 holy lands were also a little excited, indescribable feeling. Sino Nation became stronger and fiercer as they fought. This was all because of this. Now, Fong Ping and the others were courageous to the end. Stubbornness was easy to break, but they obviously did not care. They were stubborn to the end. Even a place as powerful as the realm beyond heavens and the realm boundaries had to admit defeat. The basilica was silent for a moment. Fong Ping, who was cold and stern just now, smiled again. He smiled and said, "What should be said has been said. Everyone understands. It's just a digression. Let's get down to business." As soon as he said that, even a group of powerhouses could hear a few gasps. At that moment, they were really stressed. They were worried that a war would break out and blood would be shed on the spot. If they were not careful, there might be a few rank 9s left here today. P.S. Recommending a book? I took over the Demon Emperor by Big Boss August Eagle. I've read the Big Boss's book. It's very well written. Brothers, you can take a look. Chapter 935. In the Basilica, Fong Ping's smile was bright, as if he was a completely different person. 6 grandmasters, 2 boundaries, 6 sacred grounds, and Sino Nation. There are a total of 20 countries participating. Fong Ping began to talk about business with a straight face. For a moment, everyone was at a loss for words. Since Weiyu Mountain said 28 rank 9s will come, excluding Senior Su Yunfei, there are 27 more. How about this? Send 3 more to make up 30 rank 9s. Jiang Kuei frowned slightly. Today, he was in a passive position. This made him a little uncomfortable. Even in the era of sex, as the descendant of Emperor Qing Tong, a top-notch powerhouse in the origin realm, he was flattered everywhere, like the moon surrounded by stars. But now, Fong Ping really did not give him any face. People like Jiang Kuei, who were used to being flattered, were also used to being the center of attention. Everywhere he went, everyone's attention was on him. This was what people like him were most used to. They might not like it, but they were used to this feeling. When this situation changed, it naturally made people feel a little uncomfortable. Even though Jiang Kuei was uncomfortable, he still suppressed it. In that moment, he felt Fong Ping's murderous intent was too strong. This time, he came out of the mountain not to fight with the human world. Jiang Kuei knew this. Taking an inaudible breath, Jiang Kuei regained his composure and said, "Sure." Fong Ping gave him a slightly strange look. He had agreed quite readily. The key was that Weiyu Mountain had been closed for so many years, but there were still so many rank 9s. This was somewhat unexpected. It seemed that Weiyu Mountain's losses were not as heavy as the other boundaries. Senior Xianhua, Xuan de Grotto Heaven will send 20 rank 9s. Xianhua looked at him and said with a slight headache, "There aren't that many people in Xuan de Grotto Heaven. Some have just woken up from a deep sleep and are still recovering. Didn't you stuff 8 golden-bodied monsters in there earlier? That's good too. Of these 8 golden-bodied monsters, 5 have advanced. We'll send another 10 people. 15 origin is the limit. 15. Those 5 monsters have just advanced. Their combat strength should be average, right?" Fong Ping did not expect 5 out of the 8 monsters to advance. That was not slow at all, but it was understandable. The energy in the boundaries was frighteningly abundant. Those monsters were not far from rank 9. If not for this, these demons would not have dared to besiege Feng Jiuqing. As Fong Ping said that, he smiled and said, "But that's fine too. Speaking of which, these 5 monsters and I are fated." Xianhua couldn't be bothered. Fong Ping did not mind. He looked at the Grandmaster powerhouses and said with a smile, "The 2 clans from the Land of Boundaries will send 45 rank 9 martial artists. The 6 of you, 55 will do." As soon as he said this, everyone looked at each other. Some of them felt helpless. For some Grandmasters, there were not many rank 9s. They might not even be able to gather 10 of them. Weiyu Mountain's situation was special. Coupled with the demons, they managed to gather so many rank 9 powerhouses. However, there were still a few rank 9s among the 6, and there were quite a few of them. Soon, everyone nodded slightly in agreement. 6 holy lands gather 50 rank 9 martial artists. There are not many rank 9s in the Holy Land. When Fong Ping asked Jiang Chao said that there were only a few rank 9s in Star City, but that was before. Right now, there were probably 20 rank 9s in Stellar Sky City. This did not include the rank 9s guarding Mount Imperial Sea, but some rank 9s from the Land of Boundaries and the King Battleground had returned. People like Su Yunfei, who were guarding Weiyu Mountain previously, had returned now. Fong Ping continued to make arrangements. The other 19 countries, 20 rank 9s will do. On Sino Nation's side, gather 30 rank 9s. In this way, 200 rank 9s, Fong Ping said with some emotion. Thinking about it, it's quite touching. 200 rank 9s martial artists. If we could gather so many rank 9s earlier, I'm afraid the catacombs in Sino Nation's territory would have been destroyed by 7 or 8. Everyone was speechless. 200 rank 9s. This was gathered by all the forces. Wu Chuan and Wu Quishan looked at each other. Both of them quickly sent a voice transmission to Fong Ping. 30 rank 9s? Fong Ping, this doesn't even include the real level. How can Sino Nation recruit 30 rank 9s so quickly? It was easy to say. Fong Ping also sent a voice transmission. We can't do it with fewer people. We can't hold the fort. And this time, if we don't do it, we must do it big. As Fong Ping said that, he did not send another voice transmission. He opened his mouth and said, "Everyone, 200 rank 9s is a lot." Even in the Magic City Catacombs battle earlier, both sides gathered less than 200 rank 9s. And that battle was probably the highest number of rank 9s in 1,000 years. But this time, the Earthly Emperor's treasure is targeted by too many people in the battleground of the imperial capital. The catacombs for majestic chambers, various dynasties, divine sects, as well as the Forbidden Sea. Based on my understanding of them, these people may not value other things, but they value the Earthly Emperor's treasure beyond imagination. In my opinion, the rank 9 martial artists who enter the catacombs in the end, a conservative estimate would be no less than 500. Fong Ping did not exaggerate. He said with a smile, "Others aside, the catacombs' 4 true king halls have close to 200 true gods. 1 or 2 rank 9 sent by a true god would be 300 to 400. In addition to the people from the majestic chambers themselves, I suspect that the 4 majestic chambers alone could have 500 rank 9s. So, everyone, don't start taking it lightly just because we have a lot of rank 9s on our side. In the end, it won't end well." After he said that, on Yulongtian's side, Jade Hollow said, "That's right. Before I came, I went to the Earth realm once and met some old friends. This time, there will be a lot of people from other Grandmasters coming. Jade Hollow also said bluntly, the reason why we are here is actually related to this. Minister Fong probably knows that all the venerable emperors have been waiting for many years to become emperors. This is not something that can't be told to others. In other words, when it comes to becoming emperors, the venerable emperors will be extremely concerned. These great emperors would not care much about ordinary things, nor would they care. Even if Earth was destroyed and the catacombs were destroyed, these venerable emperors might not care. However, the earthly emperor's treasure was related to the seed of rebirth and the emperor's path. All the great emperors who were not dead would be concerned about it. This was also the main point, that the imperial capital's battleground would be extremely chaotic this time. Right now, the imperial capital's battleground had not opened yet. On the day it opened, or the moment Fong Ping and the rest snatched back the treasure, powerhouses with the intention of becoming emperors would probably arrive. And that day would also be the beginning of Old Zhang and the rest plan. Fong Ping smiled. Exactly. That's why I'm reminding everyone. Let's stop talking about the personnel arrangements. Let's talk about the time arrangements. Senior Howard, is there any specific news from Star City? When will the catacombs enter the imperial capital's battleground? Upon hearing that, Su Howard said quickly, it will be no later than 10 days. All right then, everyone. Gather at the Heavenly Division in 5 days. Don't split up. When the time comes, go to the catacombs together to prevent being defeated one by one. Fong Ping did not talk about anything else. He immediately started making these arrangements. Jiang Kuei frowned slightly. Then the specific matter of snatching the treasure. There's no rush. Fong Ping smiled. Listen to me. This is the arrangement for rank 9. Also, each family can bring some rank 8s. If you're not afraid of death, I won't stop you from bringing your own rank 7s. Just don't make trouble for us. Also, each family in Outland and the bounded boundaries will have at least one true god protector. Each of the 6 sacred lands will also have at least one. For Sino Nation, if it's possible, the Martial King will go. If the injuries are too serious, then the Netherworld King will lead the team. This is the arrangement of personnel. Having said that, Fong Ping asked with a smile, is there any family that doesn't have a true god powerhouse? No one spoke. Fong Ping's gaze flickered slightly. As expected, each of them was hiding it, but in reality, they still had a foundation. Over at Mystic Heaven's side, the last time he went there was no mention of a living true god. But now, with the Demon Emperor's treasure, these fellows did not hide it anymore. In fact, even if Fong Ping did not say it, these places would probably have true gods. Even emperor-level powerhouses would go there personally. At this time, Wang Ruobing, who had not spoken much, suddenly said, Fong Ping, if we really snatch the earthly emperor's treasure, if it can really make people emperor, then how do we split it? When she said this, she was a little anxious. Wang Ruobing did not really care about these, but she could not help but be anxious. Originally, she wanted to spend more time with her father these days. Her father's life was coming to an end. It was actually good to spend his remaining years in peace. With the lifespan of Dragon Transformation's Celestial Emperor, living for 1 or 2 years was not a big problem. But now, in the last battle with Chong Rong's Celestial Emperor, Dragon Transformation's Celestial Emperor consumed some origin again. In the current situation, living for 3 to 5 months was already the limit. Previously, her father had returned to Dragon Transformation once. He did not say much. The only thing he said was that after he died, he asked Wang Ruobing to immediately bring Dragon Transformation's people to Earth, to Sino Nation, to find King Wu and make him fulfill his promise. Everything about Dragon Transformation was handed over to the Martial King, including the remains of Dragon Transformation. Of course, if there were remains, her father said it calmly, but Wang Ruobing felt grief instantly. At that moment, she suddenly no longer felt indifferent. She wanted her father to live on, and snatching the earthly emperor's treasure might be the only thing that could keep her father alive. But this time, There were too many people participating. Everyone wanted to become emperor. When Wang Ruobing opened her mouth, everyone actually guessed what she meant. Dragon Transformation's celestial emperor's time was coming to an end. This might be the only venerable emperor to die of old age since ancient times. Maybe there were other venerable emperors who died of old age, but no one knew about it. The only thing they knew was that Dragon Transformation was dying. Fong Ping also knew about Dragon Transformation's celestial emperor. After thinking about it, he said, snatching the treasure is not that simple. There are too many people watching this time. Of course, since everyone is here, their goal is to get the treasure. And I'm saying if the treasure is really obtained in the end, if it's the kind that can be shared, then everyone can use it together. There's no problem at all. If it's a one-time use treasure that only works for one person. When these words came out, many people were a little nervous. If there was only one treasure, and it was only effective for one person, then this matter would be very troublesome. Fong Ping smiled and said, actually, in my opinion, this possibility is not high. If it can really help people become emperors, the two kings would have become emperors long ago. Of course, we can't rule out the fact that the two kings are idiots and don't know how to use it. In my opinion, this item is more likely to be related to some clues, similar to a treasure like a map. Alright, let's continue my topic first. If it's really a treasure that can be used by one person, I don't think it can help people become emperors. So, Sino Nation can let it go. When these words came out, everyone was stunned. At this moment, Jiang Kuei was also a little surprised and shocked. He hurriedly said, is this true? Minister Fong can represent Sino Nation to agree to this? Sino Nation was still very competitive. For no other reason, a martial king was enough to make some emperors suffer. Fong Ping said indifferently, of course it's true. Don't worry, although I, Fong Ping, am not a paragon, nor an emperor's powerhouse, since I dared to agree. Then this matter will naturally be approved by the other department leaders of the 4 departments and 4 residences. Of course, it's not without a price. Whoever wants to get the treasure, or if they get it in the end, must give Sino Nation corresponding treasures and resources. These can be discussed after we get it. Everyone did not care about this, but they were shocked that Fong Ping actually dared to agree on behalf of those powerhouses not to give up the Earth Emperor's supreme treasure. What was this guy thinking? Did Zhang Tao and the others really not have any designs on the Earth Emperor's supreme treasure? Sino Nation won't participate. As for you guys, it's up to your own capabilities. But I want to make it clear, before the treasure is safely in my hands, if anyone dares to spoil the plan, don't blame me for not showing mercy. Fong Ping snorted softly, going straight to the point. Harming your teammates, deliberately not rescuing, trying to reduce competitors. I've seen these things many times. I don't care how you guys usually do, and I don't care how you guys do after. Before I announce the complete end of the cooperation, whoever does this first, I won't smooth things over. There's only one word, kill. Fong Ping's aura was boiling. He said coldly, I don't think about the big picture. My big picture is different from yours. If you mess things up at the crucial moment, I'd rather let the treasure go to someone else than show mercy. When that time comes, maybe I'll join forces with the catacombs powerhouses to kill those troublemakers. I can do this, you guys have to believe it too. As soon as he said this, Su Bing and the others smiled bitterly. Believe. They really believed. Although they had not known Fong Ping for long, how could they not believe what he said? When that time came, this guy might really join forces with the catacombs powerhouses and voluntarily give up the treasure to kill his own people. There were signs of this in Emperor's Tomb. As for whether Jiang Ke and the others believed it or not, Su Bing could not be bothered to think about it. Wei Yushan had sent so many rank 9s this time. Maybe they were planning to snatch it at the last moment. However, Su Bing knew that if Wei Yushan did not follow the rules, they might suffer a big loss in the end. At this moment, Jiang Ke did not consider these things. Instead, he said in a low voice, then, the strength of each team is different. Do you want to distribute it equally in the end? Fong Ping laughed. Of course not. Let's put it this way. 200 people, That means 200 shares, or maybe 200 chances. In the end, try to use peaceful means to distribute it. At this time, the probability of who gets it will be related to the number of people who contribute. Not only the number, but also the amount of effort. Don't try to fish in troubled waters. It doesn't exist here. Sino Nation is more of a referee. As for Sino Nation's purpose, I'm not afraid to let you know. 2 points. First, kill more catacombs powerhouses. Second, after the matter is over, Sino Nation must get some commonly used resources, such as energy stones, natural treasures, ancient pills, weapons. Fong Ping laughed. Sino Nation's purpose is very simple. As for becoming an emperor, we will rely on ourselves to become an emperor, not the so-called earthly emperor's treasure. If the earthly emperor's treasure can become an emperor, that would be the biggest joke. Back then, after the Great War, the treasure would not have been left there. I think your venerable emperors are also well aware of this. They just want to take a gamble. Up to you. Zhang Yao exhaled softly. That's right. We also know that the earthly emperor's treasure does not have a high chance of making someone an emperor. But maybe it has some other uses, or maybe it can give us an advantage in the future. Minister Fong doesn't need to say this, we understand. It's good that you know what you're doing. Otherwise, when the difference is too big, you'll go crazy. Fong Ping laughed. He said it calmly. He really did not think that this thing could make someone an emperor. Was the second king an idiot? If it could, they would not have used it as bait back then. However, it could attract so many great emperors to participate in the war. If there were no accidents, it would still have a significant effect. Fong Ping suspected that some of the ancient venerable emperors knew what this treasure was. If they did not know at all, would these people fight to their deaths? However, these guys did not say anything now, so he did not ask. He would know when the time came. At this point, the general direction was decided. As for the specific details, there was no need to go into detail. The meeting went smoothly, all because of Fong Ping's straightforwardness. The leader was the most difficult to choose, but Fong Ping decided in a few words, which saved a lot of wrangling. Otherwise, it might not be decided even if it dragged on for 3 to 5 days. At this point, Fong Ping said again, "This is about the cooperation this time. Since all of you are here, I'll talk about something else. The boundary lands and beyond Avalon want to come out and recruit disciples. I've said before, if we follow the rules, everything will be fine. This time, the 6 beyond Avalon and the 2 boundary lands. Is there anyone who wants to give up this opportunity?" Fong Ping mainly looked at Dragon Transformation. As expected, Wang Hanyue answered, "Dragon Transformation has no intention of opening a sect for now. Dragon Transformation Celestial Emperor would not live for more than a few days." Of course, he was not in the mood to open a sect. It was meaningless. Fong Ping laughed. "That's 7. It's not a problem for 7 of you to open a sect, but you're not allowed to open a mountain gate on Earth. You can have a reception on Earth. We have arrangements for the 7 of you too. We'll give you the 7 boundary lands. And our only request for you is not to let the catacombs martial artists take a step onto Earth. If you can do it, this matter can be arranged very quickly. If you can't do it, then go back to where you came from." Xianhua seemed to be prepared. Upon hearing that, he said, "Shishan catacombs can be handed over to us. We do want to recruit a group of disciples." Su Bing also said hurriedly, "We're not far from the South Capital Catacombs. South Capital Catacombs can be handed over to Xian Ming Tian." The other few also opened their mouths. This matter had been discussed before. After weighing the pros and cons, all of them felt that it was acceptable. Moreover, the energy in the catacombs was indeed more abundant than on Earth. As for the dangers in the boundary lands, they really did not care. A starving camel was still bigger than a horse. No matter how heavy the losses of Beyond Avalon and the boundary lands were, it would not be to the extent that they could not even suppress 1 boundary lands. Fong Ping held a teacup and drank tea. Sino Nation had a total of 25 catacombs entrances. 24 of them were open. Tianan, Forbidden City, and Magic City were all safe now. There were still 21 entrances left to defend. If they could arrange for 7 of them to go out this time, actually, Sino Nation's pressure would be greatly reduced. For the remaining 14 catacombs entrances to defend, Sino Nation could even arrange for a venerable to hold the fort. At this time, the other 5 Holy Lands had some unusual movements. Very soon, on the ancient Buddha Holy Land side, a big monk said slowly, "Minister Fong, Wuji Heaven is the closest to us. The ancient Buddha Holy Land is also willing to arrange a dojo for Wuji Heaven." Fong Ping laughed. "Sure. But if it's on your side, then you can't recruit disciples in Sino Nation. I want to make this clear in advance." As he said that, Fong Ping looked at a woman below. Wuji Heaven was the boundary lands where the empress who had suppressed the evil sect and old Zhang was at. The other party still had a true god powerhouse who had come out of seclusion. Previously, he was also secretly protecting in the Heaven Division, but today he was also brought to the deep sea side. On the Wuji Heaven side, the extremely beautiful female martial artist said indifferently, "No need. Wuji Heaven is close to Shijiang. Shijiang will do." Obviously, the other party had no intention of going to the ancient Buddha Holy Land. Seeing that, Fong Ping raised his eyebrows slightly. The ancient Buddha Holy Land was still quite sincere. If he went to the ancient Buddha Holy Land, there should not be as many rules as there were in Sino Nation. But the other party still chose the Sino Nation region. It was a little strange. Fong Ping did not think too much, waiting for them to finish speaking before saying, "During Sino Nation's weakest period, the catacombs martial artists once rushed into the human world. 90 years ago, Sino Nation suffered many casualties. But other than that one time 90 years ago, no matter how difficult it was after that, we never let the catacombs martial artists enter Sino Nation's territory. Dying in the catacombs is a new martial artist's honor, and also a destination. I don't want the catacombs to attack the surface in a few days after handing over the 7 catacombs to you under such circumstances." As Fong Ping said that, he said slowly, "If we lose the catacombs, this is the responsibility of losing the land. Some things will still be investigated. I hope everyone can take this seriously. This meeting, Sino Nation only has so many things to do. If anyone else has something to say, bring it up now, and we'll discuss it together. If there are no objections, everyone can just do what I said earlier." Hearing that, Jiang Kuei was silent for a moment. Soon he said, "Everyone, I'll say something." This time, no one from Mount Wangwu came out. However, we have to be on guard. No one from Mount Wangwu is on the list, but it doesn't mean that no one from Mount Wangwu survived. On the contrary, there are many surviving powerhouses from Mount Wangwu, more than Mount Weiyu. This time, it's possible that no one from Mount Wangwu came out. During the battle in the Graveyard of Gods years ago, the one from Mount Wangwu killed many venerable emperors. His disciples were also the side that killed the most enemies in that battle. This time, we still have to prevent this from happening. As soon as he said that, Xianhua said solemnly, "We must guard against Mount Wangwu. The battle between the north and the south has a lot to do with Mount Wangwu. We must be careful." Both the territories mention Mount Wangwu. At this time, Jade Hollowchild also said, "Indeed, we must pay attention to Mount Wangwu. That venerable emperor has a bad temper. We must prevent him from acting recklessly." Even the grandmasters mentioned this. Fong Ping did not care before, but now he could not help but care. What's the situation with Mount Wangwu? It's hard to say. Xianhua and the others wanted to say something, but hesitated. After a long time, Xianhua shook his head slightly at Fong Ping, indicating that there was no need to ask anymore. Fong Ping's eyebrows twitched. All right, he would ask after the meeting. Chapter 936. At the same time as the meeting was held in China, Weiyu Mountain, the towering mountain peak was shrouded in clouds, resembling an immortal realm. Palaces floated around the mountain peak, eventually forming a massive building complex. At the center, a mountain peak that seemed to reach the heavens was especially eye-catching. An immortal palace stood at the peak of the mountain. Within the immortal palace, it was extremely quiet. After an unknown period of time, a voice suddenly sounded from the immortal palace. "North Sea, why are you here?" The moment he said that, an invisible world wall opened in the sky. The next moment, a figure shrouded in immortal chi appeared and descended slowly. At that moment, Gong Juanzi looked like an immortal with jade-like skin. Looking at the world wall, Gong Juanzi smiled faintly. Seems like your injuries have healed after all these years. Kuokang Mountain's world wall had been operating on its own due to his injuries and was on the verge of collapse. However, Emperor Qing Tong could control Weiyu Mountain's world wall freely. Clearly, someone had been maintaining the restrictions here. Come in. In the Immortal Palace, Emperor Qing Tong did not explain. The next moment, the gates of the Immortal Palace opened. Immortal children lined up on both sides and shouted loudly, "Welcome, North Sea Emperor!" The children on both sides used dermic arts, and a golden path appeared beneath Gong Juanzi's feet, leading straight to the Immortal Palace. Gong Juanzi smiled nonchalantly. He walked forward and lamented, "Many of your people survived." As for Kuokang Mountainside, he sighed softly. He was the only one who survived in the massive Kuokang Mountain. Previously, there was a cat. Now that the cat had run away, he was truly alone. As he spoke, a young man appeared at the end of the path. He was handsome and wore a crown. He looked similar to Jiang Kuei, but was even more outstanding. The young man placed his hands behind his back and smiled faintly. "Everything is fated." "Fated?" Gong Juanzi sneered and stepped forward. He looked around and said with a smile, "Previously, I thought that you were also heavily injured and even sent people to Weiyu Mountain to look for you. I didn't expect that your injuries have already healed." Previously, when he let LV Jun leave Kuokang Mountain, he asked LV Jun to come to Weiyu Mountain. However, LV Jun went underground and Zhang Tao did not allow him to run around. Naturally, he could not come to Weiyu Mountain. Emperor Qing Tong smiled and said nothing. Gong Juanzi also stopped and looked at him. The smile on his face disappeared, and he said coldly, "Since you've recovered, why haven't you left the mountain? If you've recovered, why did you leave the mountain?" Gong Juanzi looked at him for a while and said in self-mockery, "The struggle between the north and the south. In the 10 great paradises, I'm afraid that only the few of us would take it seriously. We've become fools, pawns, abandoned pieces." "Qing Tong, is that so?" Emperor Qing Tong said nothing. What kind of role did you play back then?" Gong Juanzi looked at him with a burning gaze. In the past, Emperor Qing Tong had been the leader of the southern faction during the war between the north and the south. Weiyu Mountain, the second grotto heaven. Imperial Emperor Qing Tong was also an ancient venerable emperor. He was extremely old and powerful. Emperor Qing Tong had participated in that battle as well. The battle that day had been far too intense, and Gong Juanzi had clearly seen that Qing Tong had suffered grievous injuries, far worse than his own. But Weiyu Mountain's situation showed that Emperor Qing Tong had been recovering for at least 1,000 years. Had Celestial Emperor Qing Tong already recovered from such severe injuries? Not only that, Gong Juanzi looked at his jade-like body and said with a chuckle, "You've already given up on the path of spiritual consciousness and made up for the flaws of your corporeal body." Emperor Qing Tong said, "The extreme path is not that easy to walk. Back then, all the extreme path heavenly emperors went missing. I'm afraid they've already met with misfortune. Without the detailed cultivation techniques passed down, the extreme path has flaws." Gong Juanzi said slowly, "I only have one question. When did you start cultivating your corporeal body?" Emperor Qing Tong chuckled and said, "Is it important?" Gong Juanzi understood a little and murmured, "Yes, is it important?" The most resolute venerable emperor of the southern faction asked me, "Is it important?" The struggle between the north and the south was a farce, a joke. One battle destroyed the blessed abode, and one battle killed dozens of venerable emperors and hundreds of true gods. Now it seems that it was just a joke. Gong Juanzi laughed at himself and said, "Qing Tong, why didn't you die?" It sounded like a curse, but it was a sincere question. "Why didn't you die?" Emperor Qing Tong smiled and said, "Why was I the one who died? Why couldn't it have been someone else? Could it be that you were in cahoots?" Gong Juanzi suddenly frowned. "Back then, you and that person led the southern faction and the northern faction respectively. Previously, I went to Wangwu Mountain to investigate for a while. The restrictions there were still intact, but when the formation I was broken, it was there that started. Wangwu Mountain was the core. Now Wangwu Mountain is still there, but the 108 blessed abodes have withered. More and more facts tell me that you were all acting in the past. Gong Zhuanzi became more self-deprecating, his face full of mockery. What a struggle between the north and the south. What a struggle between the southern faction and the northern faction. I was wondering why the war broke out so quickly that everyone was in a killing frenzy. I see. Poor Kuozong's 3,000 disciples all died in the end. It was just a big show, ridiculous. Emperor Qing Tong fell silent again. Who ordered you? Gong Zhuanzi was really confused this time. Tell me, who ordered you? Even that person in Wangwu Mountain. I heard that he has sealed himself away for 1,000 years and has never come out again. Not a single one of his disciples has come out. Why is that? Emperor Qing Tong chuckled. Would you believe me if I said I don't know? Don't know? Gong Zhuanzi sneered. Emperor Qing Tong, how could you be so reckless? You were ordered to destroy the 100 schools of thought without knowing anything? There are some things you don't understand. Emperor Qing Tong did not stand still. He slowly walked forward. In front of him, the dragon and phoenix prostrated under his feet, allowing him to step on them as he gradually walked into the sky. Gong Zhuanzi followed slowly and did not speak again. Emperor Qing Tong said as he walked, I thought that I was the only one who cooperated with them. I was the leader of the southern faction in the struggle between the north and the south. That was already shocking enough. It was only in the end that I found out that the northern and southern factions were under that person's control. Working with that person in the royal house is also something that I didn't expect. I nearly died in that battle, but in the end, someone stepped in and saved me. Oh, that person in Wangwu Mountain. Emperor Qing Tong chuckled. That's how I found out that I'm on the same side as that person. Don't you think it's funny? One was the leader of the southern faction, and the other was the leader of the northern faction. The war between the north and south erupted. Great monarchs fell. True gods were like weeds, and blood flowed like rivers. In the end, the leaders of the two factions became one. Gong Zhuanzi's face turned pale when he heard this. It's funny. It's so funny that I still think about the war between the north and south for thousands of years. Isn't that even funnier? Gong Zhuanzi sighed, then asked again, what is the person behind this? What is he trying to do? Emperor Qing Tong chuckled. Who knows? Killing for fun? Unifying the three realms? But for thousands of years, no one has unified the three realms, and the person behind this has never appeared. Unifying the three realms is probably not the goal. Emperor Qing Tong thought for a while and said, maybe the person behind that war wanted to show the sovereign's Tao. I've made some guesses over the years, but I couldn't come to a conclusion. But I do know one thing. The earthly sovereign's relic might have been thrown into the interspatial battlefield on purpose. Gong Zhuanzi frowned. On purpose? Yes, we were heavily injured back then, but the group of people who came later had the ability to retrieve the earthly sovereign's relic. But they didn't. If I'm not mistaken, they wanted to use the blood of the monarchs and the Tao of the gods to nourish this relic. Gong Zhuanzi's expression changed drastically when he heard this. Could the war back then have been to nourish this relic? How extravagant! The blood of tens of monarchs and the Tao of hundreds of true gods was all for this? Maybe it was along the way. Qing Tong looked at the sun in the sky and said softly, nourish it along the way. Since the dead are already dead, why can't we make use of trash? The earthly sovereign's relic. What is it? Qing Tong was slightly surprised when he heard this, then said with a smile, you don't know. Gong Zhuanzi snorted coldly and said with a cold gaze, back then, someone secretly destroyed my cultivation technique. This person must be among us. That day, I focused all my energy on this person, so I didn't really care about the earthly sovereign's relic. Beihai, you surprise me. It seems like you've become muddle-headed after following the cat. Sovereign Qing Tong laughed. You don't know what the earthly sovereign's relic is, and you fought to the end? He thought Beihai knew. Or rather, almost all those who were in the space battlefield knew. Beihai didn't know? Gong Juanzi snorted again. Someone had broken his Kuokang scripture, so he didn't have the energy to care about anything else. Qing Tong stopped provoking him and said with a smile, "Actually, I don't know what it is exactly, but so many people died that day, and at the last moment, we saw a door." A door? Gong Juanzi's expression changed slightly. A door blocking the way? That's right, Qing Tong said with a smile. A door blocking the way. Is it the Sanjiao Gate? I'm not sure. Qing Tong shook his head and said, "We only saw a faint ancient door that flashed by. That's why the others fought to the end. You know, we've been trapped in this realm for far too long. We haven't improved for thousands of years. Who would be able to restrain themselves after seeing this door that day? But that door was too illusory that flashed by. That's why I guess that the person behind the scenes didn't take the relic, but left it where it was. Maybe the earthly sovereign's relic wasn't enough to manifest that door. Now that 2,000 years have passed, maybe it's possible this time?" Gong Juanzi took a deep breath and said with some shock, "You actually saw the door. No wonder. No wonder those people fought to the end like madmen and refused to retreat." As for him, he really didn't see it. He just found it strange that the others fought to the end. He had no choice. His scripture was broken, and to find this enemy, he fought to the death. That person in the dark had been guiding him. Qing Tong laughed again and said, "You didn't see the door and kept fighting. Beihai, you really surprised me. No wonder when we left that day, you were the only one who didn't look back and left the fastest." Gong Juanzi snorted again. He was being mocked. At the end of the battle, he was indeed the fastest to leave. But many people were still hesitant and reluctant. Gong Juanzi was surprised that these people were so greedy. It was just the earthly sovereign's relic, and they didn't even see what it was. Was there a need to guard it? Now, it seemed like he was lucky. If he knew that the relic could see the door that day, he might have stayed until the end to see if there was a chance. Then why didn't you do anything all these years? "We can't enter." Qing Tong shook his head and said, "The path inside is completely chaotic, and we can't enter. It has only loosened in recent years. Back then, it should be the group that came later that set up some things to prevent us from entering. Back then, Heavenly King Suppressing came here and asked people to come out. It wasn't just because he was strong, but also because of this. We sent people out because of this place. After that, we came to Suppressing Star City to explore this place. And it was also a condition that Heavenly King Suppressing agreed to us." Heavenly King Suppressing. Gong Yuzi frowned again and said, "I've heard of this person, but I've never met him. He didn't go to Kuokang Mountain back then. You're the only survivor of Kuokang Mountain, so why did he go there? Besides, Gray Cat is in Kuokang Mountain, and Heavenly King Suppressing Star shouldn't be willing to come in contact with him." "Who is Heavenly King Suppressing Star?" "You're from the same era as Long Bien and the others, and you've existed since ancient times. Don't you know this person?" "I know him." Qing Tong nodded and said with a smile, "But knowing him doesn't mean anything. I've seen him in the Heaven Realm. But you don't know that the Heaven Realm was mysterious in the past, and we were just ordinary venerable sovereigns. We wouldn't get close to anyone we met in the Heaven Realm. This person should have been near Kuokang Mountain. When Kuokang Mountain was built, I went there, and I think I saw him once by the sea. That day, he went fishing with unquestionable Jian and Gray Cat." "You didn't see him?" "He fished with Gray Cat and unquestionable Jian?" Gong Juanzi murmured. "Gray Cat didn't come in contact with many people back then. Unquestionable Jian, Jiang Tianming, Gong Yuzi, and a few others. As for the others, Gray Cat didn't mention them." "Beihayu?" Qing Tong suddenly sighed. "I don't know if you're lucky or unlucky. After the Heaven Realm was destroyed, you achieved your Tao in the era of the earthly Emperor God Dynasty. If unquestionable Jian was the one genius in the era of the 100 Clans, then you, Gong Yuzi, are also a genius in the earthly Emperor God Dynasty. Not the number one, but you're definitely in the top 3. Do you think it was just a coincidence that Gray Cat found you? After the Heaven Realm was destroyed, the earthly Emperor God Dynasty was established many years later. It was during this period that Gong Juanzi of Beihai showed his talent. More than 2,000 years ago, At the end of the earthly emperor god dynasty, Gong Zhuanzi became a powerful, venerable sovereign and was qualified to establish Quokang Mountain. The masters of the 10 grotto heavens and the masters of the 4 Brahma heavens were almost the same in strength, except for the one in the Wanwu. Quokang Mountain was the last of the 10 grotto heavens, and Gong Zhuanzi was the weakest among them. Perhaps entering this rank was a testament to his strength. He was a rising star, a peerless genius in the era of the earthly emperor god dynasty. Gong Zhuanzi frowned slightly. What do you mean? I said you're lucky because you're still alive now. I said you're unfortunate because you missed a lot of opportunities. Qing Tong smiled. If there was no unquestionable back then, the demon emperor might not have been unquestionable. But you. Unquestionable strength has a lot to do with Grey Cat. Grey Cat is truly ancient, existing with the 3 realms. It knew too many secrets and knew too many things. With just a few words of advice, perhaps you would be able to go further. But in the end, Grey Cat handed everything to Unquestionable instead of you. Gong Zhuanzi said calmly, "That's nothing. At least I'm better off than Unquestionable." At this point, Gong Zhuanzi did not want to continue this topic and went back to the main topic. "Today, I came here to see you. Now that I've seen you, some of my doubts have been resolved. Secondly, I want to ask where Unquestionable is now. After all, Grey Cat and I have been friends for thousands of years. Back then, I also had many years of friendship with Unquestionable. Initially, I wanted to reminisce about old times. However, I vaguely feel that something is wrong about the Emperor's tomb. Grey Cat went there for no reason, and he is not a meddlesome person. If not for the rumor that the heaven-crushing sword and Unquestionable's remains in the Emperor's tomb, Grey Cat would not have gone there for no reason. Did he purposely lure Grey Cat to Purple Cap Mountain? After that, Grey Cat was ranked first on the Emperor's ranking. Speaking up to this point, Gong Zhuanzi said with a cold expression, "Was it all part of his plan? It's fine for Unquestionable to scheme against other experts, but Grey Cat is indebted to him." Qing Tong smiled. "Indebted? You think he's indebted? Does Unquestionable really think so?" Qing Tong sighed. If it wasn't for Grey Cat, perhaps he could have lived the life he wanted. He could have held hands with his wife until they grew old. He could have continued to be the top disciple of Purple Cap Mountain. He could have remained unnoticed, and his wife would not have died. North Sea, in your eyes, Grey Cat is innocent, a blessing. But in Unquestionable's eyes, did he really think so? Maybe Grey Cat did not realize it himself. But since ancient times, how many people that Grey Cat had followed had a good ending? You're an exception, as you're not Grey Cat's follower. In other words, Grey Cat gave up on you halfway, resulting in Gong Zhuanzi. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Gong Zhuanzi's figure shuddered. Did Unquestionable think so? Is it really him? He did it on purpose. Gong Zhuanzi's expression turned cold. Was he the one who released the ranking of the 3 realms? I don't know about that. Qing Tong said smilingly. You're asking me, but I don't know where Unquestionable is either. Gong Yuzi has gone deep into the embittered sea. Otherwise, you could ask him. Gong Yuzi might know something. The other one is the godly divination cultivator. He was with Unquestionable and Grey Cat in the past, so he might know something too. However, I heard that his memory had been erased. Perhaps Unquestionable was the one who purposely hid something. At this point, Qing Tong said slowly, "Even if we find him, what can we do? What can you do to him?" Let me give you a reminder. Qing Tong was silent for a moment and said softly, "That batch of people that came later might be related to Unquestionable. He disappeared for a long time. It's said that he went to the Heaven Realm ruins. His strength stepped into Emperor rank, appearing briefly and disappearing very quickly. That batch of people that came later were extremely powerful, and there were many Emperor ranks too. Where did they come from? I see that their actions are the same as Unquestionable, appearing and disappearing mysteriously. Perhaps both parties have some connection." Gong Zhuanzi's expression changed. If he was really related to that group of people, he wouldn't have been besieged and killed 1,000 years ago. How do you know if this is his own scheme? Qing Tong smiled and said, "Beihai, you're too naive. You've had a smooth journey, becoming emperor rank at a young age, obtaining the ancient extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor's inheritance, Gray Cat by your side, and you're not Gray Cat's follower. You've avoided all the disasters that could be avoided. You've had it too smooth, so how can you understand the hearts of others? Extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor. Gong Zhuanzi frowned and said, "Do you know where I inherited my cultivation technique from? Although you haven't revealed it, the various manifestations of your Quokang treasure cannon are similar to an extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor's cultivation technique." Gong Zhuanzi really did not know who his cultivation technique was inherited from. This thing was even given to him by Gray Cat. This kind of top secret would not be easily told to others either. The others also did not show any abnormalities. Thinking about it now, probably many people knew. No wonder his cultivation technique was broken by someone in the end. Perhaps what was broken was not his Quokang treasured cannon, but the spiritual sense cannon that he obtained in the little black room. Living for several thousand years, Gong Zhuanzi seemed to only know these emperors today, only know Qing Tong. Looking at Qing Tong, he muttered, "So, in your eyes, I've always been just a lucky person." Qing Tong smiled, looked towards the horizon, and said softly, "Ignorance is bliss, but it might not be a bad thing. The more you know, the earlier you die. Today, you came to Weiyu Mountain to find me, then I'll tell you some. This is also fate." Gong Zhuanzi's mind was filled with countless thoughts. After a long time, he said, "Then over at the Graveyard of Gods, will you all be fighting for it this time? Will Unquestionable Sword go?" With his back facing him, Qing Tong said calmly, "Maybe, maybe not. Also, since Gray Cat has left, don't look for him anymore." "Why?" Qing Tong did not speak. After a while, he said, "During the war between the North and the South, you and I were friends for many years, and you regarded me as your elder brother. Now, although it's all just an illusion, and I'm not sincere, but we don't have many old friends left, don't seek your own death." Gong Zhuanzi looked at his back. This elder brother who had treated him like a brother had changed. He was completely different from the Emperor Qing Tong in his memory. "Maybe I can guess some things." Gong Zhuanzi was a little dispirited, and he said self-mockingly, "You people. Yes, maybe I don't understand you at all. Now that your lifespans are about to end, I'm afraid you've all gone crazy. But you can still remind me, which is beyond my expectation." Emperor Qing Tong and the others were about to die, but he did not have such worries. He still had a long way to go before the great limit of 10,000 years. This was probably the reason why he did not fit in with these people. Quokang Mountain had always dealt with the demon race more than the other grotto heavens and blessed lands. Some things he might not know as much as some true gods. Suddenly thinking of something, Gong Zhuanzi frowned slightly and said, "This time, I came here. I heard that someone from your mountain came out to the human world." As he spoke, Gong Zhuanzi looked around and swept his gaze across the entire Weiyu Mountain. He said slowly, "Your sect's strength is almost undamaged, and there are hundreds of people from the Origin sect and the demon race. Why don't you go to the Graveyard of Gods alone?" "North Sea, you should leave," Qing Tong suddenly said, and sent the guest off. Gong Zhuanzi's expression changed slightly, and he looked at him again. Without saying anything, he moved and left in an instant. After he left, Qing Tong sighed softly and looked up at the sky. Chapter 937. Magic City. Heavenly Division. Inside Combat Heavenly Palace. The meeting was coming to an end. When Fong Ping stood up, the hall door opened, indicating the end of the meeting. Fong Ping seemed regretful. His tone was slightly bleak. "The meeting ends here. Those who don't plan to leave can rest in Magic City for a few days. Don't run around." The meeting was very successful. However, Fong Ping's dissatisfied tone surprised some people. What else did he have to be dissatisfied with? Everyone agreed to whatever he said. Even Weishan and Jiang Kui did not disagree with him. Everyone walked out one after another. Fong Ping stared at them. Jiang Kui was the one he stared at the most. His gaze seemed to see through Jiang Kui, piercing Jiang Kui until goosebumps rose on his back. Jiang Kuei frowned slightly. He ignored him and strode away. Outside the hall, Li Changsheng and the rest were still cold, staring at them with a penetrating gaze. Jiang Kuei cursed in his heart. Were these people sick? Jiang Kuei and the rest quickly left Combat Heavenly Palace. As if there was a wolf behind them, in the enclosed Combat Heavenly Palace, they all felt pressure and oppression. As soon as they left, the hall door closed with a rumble. In the hall, Fong Ping was still standing. He had no intention of sending them off. Old Man Li and the rest did not leave. They entered the hall one after another. Why didn't anyone stay? As soon as Tianmu entered, he said something that made Wu Quishan and Wu Chuan break out in a cold sweat. Wu Chuan had been holding it in. At this time, he could not help but say, "What are you up to now?" Fong Ping, since Wei Yishan is willing to lower his head, there's no need to be overbearing. You know the situation in Sino Nation. Wu Chuan frowned. Are our abilities really that strong? It's not a good thing that you've provoked too many enemies. These guys had already discussed leaving some people behind. This made Wu Chuan feel that Fong Ping's action was very inappropriate. Fong Ping chuckled. It's nothing. I just want to find a more powerful sacrifice. Minister killed an Emperor-level powerhouse earlier. That's an Emperor-level matter. I think these martial artists below the pinnacle haven't woken up yet. In Sino Nation's territory, it's more appropriate to kill people to establish dominance. I think we should pick the tough ones. I'm really going to pinch Wei Yishan. Wu Chuan felt a headache coming on. Di Zun Qing Tong is extremely powerful. You're just creating trouble for Department Head Zhang. He's still injured. Do you really want to force him to perish together with the enemy? Fong Ping chuckled. So be it. Good people don't live long, but scourges live for 1,000 years. Just as he said that, the barrier of Combat Heavenly Palace in the sky was torn apart. The corner of Fong Ping's mouth twitched. The next moment a silhouette appeared. Zhang Tao's face turned pale as he asked with a faint smile, "Am I a good person or a scourge?" You can even hear that? Fong Ping's head hurt. Zhang Tao sneered. It's just a barrier set up by energy stones. It can stop ordinary rank 9 martial artists, but can it stop me? Aren't you on the verge of death? Is it appropriate to come here now? No matter how heavily injured I am, it won't be difficult for me to crush you to death. Zhang Tao had a look of disdain on his face. Do you really think you're on the same level as me? Fong Ping rolled his eyes. You're the best. Whatever you say. The two of them exchanged a few words before Wu Chuan said with some surprise, Minister Zhang, when did you come? Aren't you? I've been here since the start of the meeting. Zhang Tao chuckled. I wanted to wait for this kid to make a move. I carried the corpse to Weiyu Mountain and see if I could meet Qing Tong. Wu Chuan was speechless. Wu Quishan smiled bitterly and helplessly. Minister, although Weiyu Mountain is a little inappropriate, in my opinion, it hasn't crossed Sino Nation's bottom line. Why do you and Fong Ping want to kill them all? Fong Ping said to abide by the rules and establish dominance. He understood that. However, Weiyu Mountain was very obedient now, and Jiang Quishan was also very obedient. Under such circumstances, did they really have to offend Weiyu Mountain to death? This seemed a little overbearing. Besides, could Zhang Tao really win against Venerable Emperor Qing Tong? Zhang Tao landed slowly and walked toward the basilica. With a casual kick, he kicked Fong Ping, who was occupying the main seat, aside. Ignoring Fong Ping's angry gaze, he sat down on the main seat and smiled. I'm not trying to kill them all. Although the new martial artists are reckless, they won't offend these ancient powerhouses for no reason. For example, Xuanda Grotto Heaven, Dragon Change Sky, and even the slightly unruly Jade Dragon Sky, we can work together and negotiate. Zhang Tao paused and smiled. But Weiyu Mountain and Wangwu Mountain are a little inappropriate. These two places, one is sealed all year round, while the other has always been in contact with the outside world. Weiyu Mountain has long opened its mountain gate? Wu Quishan was surprised. Didn't they say that the seal will break easily if there are too many people coming and going? That's for other boundaries. Weiyu Mountain is different. Zhang Tao sat on the stone chair, feeling a little stiff. He looked at Fong Ping and said, "Next time, change it to a sofa chair. These things are enough to fool outsiders. It's hard enough to be a human. It's rare for me to take a break. Did you do this on purpose?" Fong Ping's face darkened. "All right, you're very arrogant now, kid. You act like you're the boss of Sino Nation, arranging whoever you want to fight. Have you asked for my opinion?" Fong Ping mumbled, "What? Say it louder." Zhang Tao did not seem to hear him. He looked at him and asked with a smile. Fong Ping continued to roll his eyes, saying weakly, "Minister Zhang, this is the headquarters of heaven. I know. What's wrong?" Zhang Tao was a little confused. He looked at him as if he did not understand. Fong Ping gritted his teeth. "I'm the acting minister of heaven. And then? Fong Ping cursed in his heart. "Am I shameless? There are so many people from heaven here. I'm the boss. Don't treat me like food. You kicked me the moment you came. Am I shameless?" Zhang Tao smiled faintly. He waved his hand and said, "The rest of you, go out and send the guests off. Also, leave the people from Xuanda Grotto and Dragon Transformation Sky. The rest are free to go." Outside, including Li Chongqing, Tian Mu, and the others, left one after another. Wu Chuan, Wu Quishan stay. Both of them were about to leave when they heard that, but they stopped now. After waiting for them to leave, Zhang Tao waved his hand, and Combat Heavenly Palace's door closed. Fong Ping was surprised. "You can control it? It's not like I'm Heavenly Battle Emperor resurrected. Is there a problem if I control the broken house he lives in?" Zhang Tao disagreed. "I'm so powerful. Can I even control the house he lives in?" "Stop talking nonsense. Sit down. We haven't seen each other for a while. Let's have a chat." Zhang Tao turned from guest to host, inviting them to sit down. After they sat down, Zhang Tao looked at the three of them and said, "After some time, Sino Nation will be in your hands." As soon as he said that, Wu Chuan frowned slightly. "Minister, you mean those who are at the peak and above are leaving? Fong Ping, Wu Quishan, the few of you will be in charge of the 4 troops. As for the 4 mansions, once we leave, you'll be the only true guardian. Pay more attention." Wu Chuan frowned again. Fong Ping asked curiously, "Doesn't Brother Wu know?" Zhang Tao said casually, "I forgot. This guy runs around everywhere. It's not like he's in a desperate situation. I often forget that he's the guardian of the South. His presence is too low. I often forget to inform him." These words were not heart-wrenching. They were piercing his internal organs. Wu Chuan's gaze was strange. He looked at Zhang Tao without saying a word. "This is the reason why you guys often ignore me? This is the reason why I, the Guardian, know the least secrets among the 3 troops and 4 mansions? I thought you guys despised me for being young. Turns out you guys are ignoring me from the start." Wu Quishan almost could not hold back his laughter. Zhang Tao chuckled. "I'm speaking the truth. As a teacher, it's either the most outstanding student or the worst student. You're just an average student. It's hard to remember you. Minister, is that enough?" Wu Chuan's gaze was resentful. That was enough. After teasing Wu Chuan, Zhang Tao continued, "It's nothing. The others and I made a cover. We're planning to capture all the 3 realms peak in one fell swoop and cover them all. With the current situation, it's hard for Sino Nation to produce any more peak. Let's talk about you. Do you dare to run around now? If you run into a true king at every turn, you won't even know how you died. The catacombs can still have some internal strife. What about us? Our own people killing our own people?" Zhang Tao continued to lean against the stone chair. He felt increasingly uncomfortable. He got up and kicked the stone chair aside. Then, a leather sofa appeared in front of him. Fong Ping glanced at it. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly. It looked familiar. It seemed to be something from the Heavenly Division. Was old Zhang retrieving it through the air, or had it been stolen before? Zhang Tao ignored him. Only then did he sit down in satisfaction. He crossed his legs and said leisurely, "I'll inform you guys about this. It'll probably happen soon." Fong Ping said seriously, "Is it reliable? There are too many powerhouses in the 3 realms. Many of them are hidden. If you guys leave, but they don't, Earth will be in even more danger." How many powerhouses above the peak level were hiding now? No idea. There were too many forces. The Forbidden Sea could even hide their aura. If they hid in the sea, you wouldn't even be able to see them. Zhang Tao chuckled. Don't worry. The Heavenly Realm ruins have appeared. The Emperor's corpse has appeared. Many divine weapons have appeared. Is this enough? Why did these people wait until now? Do they really want to be old tortoises? But if someone really doesn't appear, that's easy. Zhang Tao laughed again. The seed of rebirth has appeared. That's more or less enough. The seed of rebirth? Yes. Zhang Tao laughed. I've asked around. The thing in the king's battlefield might be the location of a door, or the door blocking the way that the cat mentioned. It's a door, but there's no key. I'm guessing that what the demon emperor left behind is a glimmer of hope. It's a door blocking the way, but there's no key. The seed of rebirth is the key. Now that the door has been found, we have to get the key. Isn't it hooked? But didn't the seed of rebirth only appear when the heavenly realm wall is broken? It's just a legend, Zhang Tao said nonchalantly. It's a fake. If it's more realistic, it'll become real. If a cat, as an ancient cat, sees the seed of rebirth and exclaims the seed of rebirth has appeared, someone will believe it. Fong Ping and the other two were dumbfounded. What did he mean? Zhang Tao laughed. Don't tell me you guys think that the cat can stay out of this? It has to contribute. If not, throw it into the catacombs and let those venerable emperors find trouble with it and snatch its divine weapons. Fong Ping smiled bitterly. You didn't really make the list, did you? No way. I don't even recognize these fellows. Where can I get the list? I'll borrow their strength and go with the flow. Zhang Tao said, chuckling. Cat, think about it. Fong Ping raised his eyebrows. Did the cat hear him? In the next moment, a fat cat appeared in Fong Ping's mind. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, holding a big black pot in its paw. It said angrily, Bad guy. I won't do it. Zhang Tao did not seem to hear it, but he did not care. He continued, the key to this plan is this cat. If it doesn't show up, it won't be credible. If it shows up, it'll be more credible. Fong Ping did not care if the cat was angry or not. He asked, what if there's still someone who hasn't gone? Then there's no other way. Good luck. Zhang Tao looked helpless. He said casually, I've exhausted all my ideas. If there's still someone hiding and refusing to come out, then there's nothing I can do. Heavenly King, subduing, did mention a reliable idea, but it sounds even more unreliable. What? That old fellow said that this matter, we still have to rely on the cat. Fong Ping was stunned. Rely on this cat again? Heavenly King subduing said that the cat's Tao is a little special. This fellow might be how do I put it, the gathering point of myriad Tao. Fong Ping's gaze changed slightly. Heavenly King, subduing, knows about it? Zhang Tao said with a faint smile. From what you're saying, you know about it. Fong Ping said in a low voice. It's not considered the gathering point of myriad Tao, but it's indeed a little special. The old fellow said that back then. I don't know exactly which year it was. There was one time back then when the cat was almost killed by someone. That's what he meant. In the end, it seemed like the origin space was destroyed. As a result, the powerhouse back then caused myriad Tao to be in turmoil. Zhang Tao also became serious at this time. He raised his eyebrows and said, myriad Tao is in turmoil. For people like us, our strength lies in the foundation of Tao. Once the origin is in turmoil, it will definitely be greatly affected. What the old fellow meant was to bring the cat to the place where we set up the trap, severely injure the cat, and cause its origin to collapse. At this time, myriad Tao is in turmoil. The hidden fellows have to come. Whether it's to explore the heavenly realm or something else, they will come. Moreover, the myriad Tao is in turmoil. It's similar to the appearance of Emperor Tao. It's more realistic. Minister, Fong Ping frowned. Zhang Tao laughed and said, Don't worry, I know what you want to say. The cat should be able to hear what I'm saying or sense it. It's for this cat to hear. The cat, how about you? If you want to live a comfortable life, it's still necessary to help out a little. Don't worry. What can it do to you? I'm not that kind of person. I'm just a bait to cause some problems in the origin space. I just don't know if it's like what the old fellow said, that it can really cause myriad Tao to be in turmoil. Zhang Tao still did not believe it. Do you have such a great ability? Cat? Are you reliable? No one answered. In Fong Ping's mind, the cat's figure was already trembling, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. There seemed to be something extra on its claws, and it looked a little like Zhang Tao. The cat held the frying pan, banging it continuously. Bad guy. He actually wanted to use it as bait, and even wanted to harm itself. It would not do it. Seeing this, Fong Ping looked at old Zhang and said, "The cat said it won't do it. If you dare to mention it again, it will smack you to death with the pan." Yo, it can still go through you? Zhang Tao was a little surprised. He could not help but laugh. Interesting. Why didn't this cat come and talk to me personally? Fong Ping was also a little surprised. He asked in his mind, why didn't you talk to him? The cat was extremely depressed. It had already smacked Zhang Tao's apparition to death. That was fake. It did not pull Zhang Tao into its origin space. I don't want to talk to him. The cat huffed and sprawled on the ground, eating crazily again. He's very bad. He's also very shameless. So annoying. The cat was even more depressed. He misses me a lot. Ah. Fong Ping was stunned. What did it mean? The fake human emperor is so bad. When you think of me, there are so many pitiful scenes appearing in your mind every day. You were beaten to death. Your bones were broken. Little Fatty was also beaten to death. His skin was peeled off. Anyway, it's so miserable. The cat was about to cry. It did not want to enter the cat world anymore. Anyway, it's so pitiful. If I don't help, then I can see people being skinned and their bones broken every day. And he cries every day. It's so annoying. The cat was so angry that it was about to cry. The fake human emperor was shameless. It cried too. Everyone died very, very tragically. In the end, only the fake human emperor and it were left. One man and one cat, standing on a piece of ruins. Anyway, whenever Zhang Tao thought of it, nothing good would happen. If it was not staying on Earth's ruins, it would see someone being killed, and the death was especially tragic. Following the cat's narration, Fong Ping looked at old Zhang with a blank expression. Old Zhang? Had he guessed the cat's ability? He even purposely acted pitiful to the cat? Fong Ping's expression was stiff. He said, Minister, do you cry with the cat every day? Wu Chuan and Wu Quishan were in a daze. Zhang Tao chuckled. Cry? Is that possible? But what you're saying is this cat can really sense it. Zhang Tao rubbed his chin and laughed. That's interesting. This cat is not normal. How is that possible? I'm just trying. I didn't expect it to work. If that's the case, the seed of rebirth that everyone is looking for might be this cat. Fong Ping denied. It can't be. When the emperor sealed the door, the cat was already here. How is it possible? Why is it impossible? Zhang Tao laughed. Isn't it normal to make a lock based on an existing key? Who would have thought that the seed of rebirth is actually this cat? Maybe if we kill this cat, the door will open. It's not impossible. As soon as he said that, everyone was a little stunned. In Fong Ping's mind, the cat was also stunned. After a while, it scratched its head with its claws. Me? Meow. No, I'm not. As it spoke, the cat started to doubt itself. Am I the seed of rebirth? In the basilica, Zhang Tao winked at Fong Ping and laughed. The possibility is very high. That's why, if the cat doesn't want to be beaten to death, it has to do something. That's settled. I'll discuss with the cat later on how to arrange it. The figure of the cat in Fong Ping's mind had gradually dissipated. Obviously, old Zhang was not thinking about the cat at this time. The cat fell into self-doubt and had no time to care about Fong Ping now. When the cat was gone, Fong Ping asked doubtfully, Is it really it? Just saying. Zhang Tao laughed. Who cares about that? It's fine as long as we scare it. Minister, is this appropriate? Not appropriate, Zhang Tao laughed. I know. In your eyes, the cat is one of us. You shouldn't plot against it. I won't plot against it. I'll tell it everything. I really need its help. Don't worry, as long as I don't die, the cat will be fine. If I die, then it's up to it. This matter is more or less settled. Wu Chuan did not care about that now. He said in a low voice, "This is very dangerous. Once people realize that you've fallen into a trap, you might become a target for everyone. Minister, is it really necessary to take these people away now?" "Yes," Zhang Tao said seriously. "It's not just because of you guys. It's also to deal with the upcoming changes. We can't give these fellows too much time to make arrangements. Otherwise, the longer we delay, the bigger the trouble. We must get rid of them as soon as possible and disrupt their plans." Zhang Tao said in a slightly serious tone, "I talked to the Dragon Transformation Celestial Emperor earlier. The Dragon Transformation Celestial Emperor said that humans must save themselves, because in their era, there were some rumors. Back then, the various sovereigns sealed the door and also stripped the human world's energy to forge an immortal source. He didn't know much about this. He only knew that several extreme Tao heavenly emperors were dissatisfied, thinking that the various sovereigns stripped away the human world's hope. Therefore, at the final moment, the seed of rebirth was actually not left behind by the various sovereigns, but left behind by several extreme Tao heavenly emperors. They might have had a dispute with the sovereigns and fought. In the end, they created the seed of rebirth and threw the seed of rebirth into the human world. They were just unwilling to see the human world extinguish martial arts. In this way, the seed of rebirth is highly likely not a person or an object. The present human world's martial artists, everyone can practice martial arts. For such a situation to occur, it might be that the seed of rebirth has spread throughout the entire human race. Back then, the various sovereigns might not have simply blocked the door. They might even have thoroughly distinguished human and immortal. Humans might not be able to practice martial arts anymore. All these are possibilities. Of course, the specific plan, probably only a few people know. Whether or not it's so hard to say. The meaning of dragon transformation is that when that day comes, I'm afraid there will really be a blood sacrifice in the human world. In this way, only then can the seed of rebirth be truly condensed. At this time, we must save ourselves. Others cannot be relied on. Zhang Tao recounted the discussion with Dragon Transformation Celestial Emperor in one breath, looked at everyone and said, "So we have no choice but to save ourselves. Trapping them is also to change some things." Fong Ping took a deep breath and said, "I understand. Then is there anything that I need to do next?" "Yes." Zhang Tao looked at him and said slowly, "First, we must seize the Demon Emperor's relic. Remember, this thing is very crucial. I need to use it as bait." Fong Ping nodded solemnly. As for what he said previously about Sino Nation not seizing it, it was just a saying. Second, shatter the King Battleground. If the two kings don't make a move, the King Battleground might not shatter. I need you to complete this mission. You must shatter it. If the two kings don't come out, that will be a variable, very troublesome. Okay. Third, if we really can't make it back, Sino Nation will have no pinnacle. Then it's all up to you. Fong Ping, you are a variable. I hope this variable will be bigger. Protect our last pure land. Okay. As Fong Ping said that, he grumbled. "You sound like you're entrusting me with an orphan. This is a bad omen." Old Zhang laughed too, sighed and said, "That's true. This is not a good omen. So there's still a fourth. For us to return, give me some imperishable substance. Not much. About 500,000 yuan will be enough. This time, many of us went to the pinnacle. All of us prepared to die. Fong Ping, at least give us some insurance." Fong Ping's expression darkened. "I knew it. I knew it. I knew you would not be so stingy. As expected, you were waiting for me here." Seeing that he did not speak, Zhang Tao laughed and said, "Forget it. What joy is there in life? What fear is there in death? If we can't return, it's up to you. When the time comes, the heavenly division will be yours. You can even be the 4th division minister." Zhang Tao stood up, sighed and said, "Don't worry. Even if I die, I will try my best to help you buy time, kill more powerhouses before I die. If I can't return, help me take care of the Zhang family, kid." Forget about the old ones, just take care of the young ones. My ashes probably can't return, build a cenotaph for me. Fong Ping almost vomited blood, said helplessly, You're really good. Do you have to go this far just to get some imperishable substance? I'm serious. Zhang Tao's eyes suddenly brightened, shining brightly. He looked at him and said, I'm not joking. If you can't return, do as I say. Remember, don't make it public, just do it in private. Don't cry when the time comes. Whoever killed me, just avenge me. I've never been afraid of anything in my life, but I'm afraid of loneliness. Remember, when you're free, light a stick of incense for me. Fong Ping suddenly did not know what to say. His mouth opened and closed, speechless for a while. Zhang Tao seemed to be crying and laughing at the same time, saying, These few days, I will travel the land of Sino Nation. Don't bother me anymore. It's hard to leave my homeland. I hope that one day, I can really see a prosperous era beyond my imagination. Fong Ping, I have high hopes for you. The prosperous era is in your hands. Minister. Fong Ping's eyes were slightly red. A large mass of imperishable substance appeared in his hand. Zhang Tao glanced at it, not really caring, putting it into his storage ring casually, smiled and said, All right, stop crying. I'm leaving. After throwing these words, Zhang Tao ran like the wind. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. Fong Ping looked sad. Wu Chuan glanced at him, speechless. You believe it? Fong Ping said sadly, I cannot believe it. Can't you see? His face is getting paler and paler. Say a few more words. If I don't say something, he'll faint. The point is, if he faints, I'll be crushed to death. Fong Ping looked helpless. Old Zhang almost fell into his arms, looking like he wanted to crush him to death. Wu Chuan coughed dryly, laughing without saying a word. Fong Ping also put on an act for a while, prepared to leave, but before he left the basilica, he suddenly turned back and said, What he said, maybe it's true? In the basilica, both of them were speechless. Chapter 938. On the 22nd, the meeting started and ended. On this day, Zhang Tao appeared briefly and disappeared from Magic City. However, those words made Fong Ping unable to calm down. Will I die? Fong Ping asked himself. He did not know. In his eyes, Zhang Tao was omnipotent and powerful. Previously, when he killed the Great Peace Heavenly Emperor, the outside world was in an uproar. Zhang Tao was heavily injured and not at his peak. However, Fong Ping was not too worried. He felt that Zhang Tao would recover soon. Just like in the past, outsiders said that after the split body split, its combat strength would be severely damaged. However, Zhang Tao broke these rumors again and again. The more he fought, the stronger he became. It seemed like there was no end to it. No one knew how strong Zhang Tao would be tomorrow. Neo-martial arts were supported by Zhang Tao. He was the one who forged neo-martial arts. What Suppressing Heavenly King forged was only the Suppressing Star era 100 years ago, not neo-martial arts. Zhang Tao was the soul of neo-martial arts. Combat Heavenly Palace, backyard. Fong Ping sat on the ground, looking at the target opposite him. In the past, Heavenly Emperor Zhan was probably standing in this position, cultivating his archery skills. Heavenly Emperor Zhan dared to fight the Emperor. He dared to shoot at the Emperor. If I had his strength, I wouldn't be like this. Fong Ping looked at the target, his mind full of thoughts. The moment Zhang Tao left, he did not feel good. Neo-martial arts were too difficult. Big and small, strong and weak enemies. All the pressure was on those few people, with Zhang Tao as the leader. Golden Age. In this dark age, in this age of despair, humans actually had a golden age. No one would starve to death. No one would be trapped by hunger and cold, creating a glory that had never been seen since the beginning of time. Not strong enough. Fong Ping murmured. Still not strong enough. April 8th, he officially came into contact with martial arts. Now, February 11th, not even 3 years had passed. His golden body was 9 refinements. In the 3 realms, he was ranked 33rd, surpassing countless thousand-year-old antiques. However, Fong Ping was still anxious. He was not strong enough. There was still a long way to go. Wealth, 2. 9 billion points vitality. 141,400 calories. 141,400 calories. Mentality. 9,499 hertz. 9,499 hertz. Destruction force. 70 yuan, 70 yuan. Storage space. 10,000 cubic meters plus. Energy shield. 1 point/minute plus. Aura simulation. 10 point/minute plus. Origin detailed analysis. 10-100 million points/time previously. With 8 billion wealth points, he had given Old Zhang 500,000 yuan of imperishable substance, which had cost him 5 billion wealth points in one go. For the upcoming trip to the martial battlefield, Fong Ping still had to prepare some imperishable substances for the human powerhouses. He still had to reserve some for himself, at least about 1 billion points. Fong Ping's voice was getting louder and louder. His aura was getting stronger and stronger. When I was weak, powerhouses protected me. Powerhouses bled for me. In this era of doomsday, these powerhouses stood by their hearts, protected the younger generation, and escorted them. It was unimaginable. Even if these people's performance is extremely monstrous, and they obviously have a lot of secrets. But no one asked, no one spied. Even if Zhang Tao and the others saw through many things, they rarely asked about them. They only protected them silently and watched them grow bit by bit, feeling extremely gratified. If I was born in the catacombs, I would have died a long time ago. I'm lucky. Neo-martial artists are all lucky. We have the most respectable experts protecting us, but now they are powerless to do so. We're running out of time. Every word that was uttered was sonorous and forceful. Fong Ping's golden body was as dazzling as the sun. The entire combat heavenly palace was dyed gold. The combat heavenly palace floating in the air was shining with golden light. Even Magic City, which was dozens of miles away, could see the golden light from the island. Vaguely, they could see a human silhouette in the air. Magic City. In a restaurant on the top floor of the city, a few grandmasters who were trying to experience human life were now looking toward the island. Jade Hollow Child put down the coffee cup in his hand, stood up, and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. Looking at the vague, golden glow, he said in a low voice, "Is that Fong Ping?" "It's him." Hong Ji stood up too. This extremely handsome crown prince Guan Ming also looked solemn at this moment. He's honing his golden body? Why is honing his golden body causing such a big commotion? As Jade Hollow Child spoke, his eyebrows twitched slightly. Very quickly, he said, "He's enlightening himself. This person is about to step onto the origin path." As soon as he said that, the others walked over one after another. Su Bing took a deep breath and said solemnly, "His golden body is 9 refinements, and his spiritual consciousness is 8 refinements. Even if he hasn't reached the peak, once he steps onto the origin path, his improvement will be tremendous. The number 1 person below true gods is just around the corner." As soon as he said that, everyone was silent. The number 1 person below true gods, not the King of Kings. Everyone present might have lived for a long time, but did they have any hope of entering the true god realm? Even powerhouses like Jade Hollow Child, who were ranked at the top of the leaderboard, dared not say that they could definitely enter the true god realm. As for Fong Ping, he was 21 years old this year. Jade Hollow Child kept staring over there. After a while, he said slowly, "Fong Ping is very difficult to fathom. Everyone, be careful when you enter the graveyard of gods. We, the Grandmasters, should watch out and help each other. We've lived to this era. This is our chance. It's not worth dying at this time." Chaos was coming. The opportunity that they had waited for countless years was almost here. They had hopes of becoming true gods, and after becoming true gods, they had hopes of quickly entering the Emperor level. This was because this was an era filled with legends. It was not worth dying at this time. Everyone nodded. Among the 6 Grandmasters, other than Dragon Change Sky, the other clans had a tacit understanding to cooperate. Hong Ji changed the topic and said in a low voice, "Will Fong Ping enter the origin realm before entering the graveyard of gods?" As he said that, there was suddenly an additional person on the Wuji Sky's side behind him. A cold woman appeared almost out of thin air and said coldly, "I'm more curious about how he entered the 9 refinements of the golden body. Greetings, true god Mu Yin." Everyone bowed. Mu Yin ignored them and looked over there, saying indifferently, "The 9 refinements of the golden body can only be entered by those who are not extreme." He broke through the limits of the golden body and advanced to the 9 refinements with the body of a non-extreme martial artist. "Everyone tell me, how did he do it?" Su Bing said hurriedly. "It's said that it's the heart of Zhang Tiandi. He's not the reincarnation of Zhang Tiandi." Mu Yin said coldly, "Since he's not, then the heart only provides him with energy. If he's the reincarnation of Zhang Tiandi, then the heart is the real treasure. In other words, he relied on energy to break through the limits of his flesh. This is the biggest doubt." She did not mention Li Chongqing. That person seemed to have the intention of stepping into extreme. As for whether it was pure extreme, it was hard to say now. It would only be clear when the other party became a true god. But Fong Ping was really extraordinary. As soon as she said that, Hong Ji said immediately, "I asked Master before." Master said that he had investigated Fong Ping's past. Fong Ping is either a reincarnation of an extreme heavenly emperor or someone did something to him. Or even, he's a venerable emperor who sealed himself and released his energy. His 9 refinements of the golden body are not the real 9 refinements of the golden body. Seal? Mu Yin said hesitantly. Are there venerable emperors who seal themselves and recultivate? Reincarnation was the reincarnation of those who died in battle. Sealing. That was when one sealed everything while they were still alive and then reincarnated. There were still some differences between the two. How could a living venerable sovereign have the courage to do such a thing? Once they could not be revived, they would disappear completely. Which living venerable emperor would dare to do such a thing? It took nearly 10,000 years to cultivate to this point. Reincarnation was not necessarily possible. This thing was very mysterious. It depended entirely on luck. At the level of a venerable emperor, it would be immature to rely on luck to do things. Hong Ji shook his head slightly. This was just a guess. No one knew what was going on with Fong Ping. If it was another time, he would have been captured by a venerable emperor for research. But now, to capture Fong Ping in the human world, they would have to wait for the martial king to come and fight to the death. The people of Outland were discussing. On the island, the golden light was getting brighter and brighter, lasting for a long time. The people of heaven, as well as Wang Ruobing and Xianhua who had not left, walked out of the house and looked at the heavenly palace in the sky. Is he going to step into the origin realm? There's such a big commotion. Isn't it very quiet to step into the origin realm? Everyone was also discussing. Entering rank 9 actually did not cause much of a commotion. Even if he stepped into the origin path, a path would appear in the sky at most, and it would dissipate soon. But now, the golden light had been dazzling for a while, and there was still no sign of the origin path. Obviously, Fong Ping had not stepped into the origin path, but the golden light was so dazzling. What was Fong Ping doing? What was Fong Ping doing? He was honing his body crazily. Right now, Fong Ping was completely wrapped in the golden, imperishable substance. In front of him, a dazzling golden crystal floated in the air. That was the brain nucleus. A plant that had been planted for 10,000 years was crushed in an instant. Endless rich life force and energy quickly overflowed and were absorbed by the brain nucleus in an instant. The golden house floated in the air. As the brain nucleus shone brightly, the golden house seemed to become more compact. At this moment, Fong Ping's expression changed slightly. Above the brain nucleus, although the golden light was dazzling, he could see some fine lines that were almost invisible. Is it caused by self-explosion? Will it shatter the brain nucleus? Or, when the day comes, my mentality will be completely obliterated, and I'll live like Warlord and the others, forget the past and start anew? On top of the golden body, a new personality would be born. Maybe when the day comes, he would no longer be Fong Ping. The worry in Fong Ping's heart flashed and disappeared, turning into determination in an instant. I will only live as Fong Ping. Even if that day really came, it would only mean that Fong Ping was dead, and not that he would live as someone else. Neo-martial artists only live this life. Fong Ping's aura was getting stronger and stronger. A large amount of imperishable substance was consumed. In the courtyard, the flowers and plants were also getting fewer and fewer. The determination of his belief seemed to have triggered a chain reaction. At this moment, darkness appeared in front of Fong Ping. The origin space. It was close at hand. The dark space was boundless. Fong Ping seemed to see a submerged reef floating in the darkness. Step on it. As long as he stepped on it, he would be a rank 9. Fong Ping stared at the submerged reef for a while. Suddenly he sneered. So, what if I'm a rank 9? If I don't become the strongest rank 9, is it necessary to walk the origin path? A loud bang sounded in Fong Ping's mind. The dark space collapsed abruptly, dissipating into thin air. One step forward and he would be a rank 9. Fong Ping gave up. He was not willing to achieve rank 9 at this time. After achieving rank 9, honing the golden body would not be as easy as it was now. He might not be able to improve as fast as he was now. The origin space disappeared. Fong Ping seemed to be honing his physique faster. However, the next moment, the origin space appeared again. One step forward, rank 9. Step into the origin path. In the darkness, there seemed to be someone talking. Fong Ping frowned slightly. What the hell? Inner demon? There was no such thing in martial arts cultivation, right? Tempting me? He suddenly thought of something. Previously, Zhang Tao had told him that when stepping into the origin space, there would be a lot of messy thoughts attacking the mind. Could this be it? In that case, at this point, this thing still often wants to tempt me to step into the origin path? Fong Ping was deep in thought. He realized the origin path late, and it only appeared now. Some veteran powerhouses might already have this feeling when they were at 5th or 6th refinement. That was why many veteran powerhouses would not wait. They would enter rank 9 when they were at 5th or 6th refinement. Were they also affected by this? Testing my willpower? Fong Ping pursed his lips. Rank 9 was not very strong. If you tempt me to enter Emperor level directly, I might be tempted. It was just the origin path. He had killed countless of them. Why would he be tempted? Look down on me! Fong Ping muttered in his heart. With a rumble, the origin space disappeared again. Every time the origin space disappeared, Fong Ping's physique honing speed seemed to be a little faster. At this moment, Fong Ping suddenly understood. 9th refinement of golden body might also be a battle of willpower. If this thing appeared often, could he keep persevering? The path was right in front of him. How many people could resist such temptation? If I'm like this, what about Old Man Li? Fong Ping thought of Old Man Li at this moment. At the same time, below, in a small courtyard, Old Man Li was also deep in thought. Should he enter rank 9? He had also entered 9th refinement of golden body. He had understood the origin path longer than Fong Ping. At this moment, a black space appeared in front of him. Enter rank 9. I don't know how long it will take to enter peak 9th refinement of golden body. Entering rank 9, the golden body will transform. The basic vitality will be stronger. 140,000 calories now. After entering rank 9, it will be at least 160,000 calories. It is comparable to 320,000 calories for ordinary rank 9. As the origin path progresses, the basic vitality will become stronger. Maybe soon, I will be invincible among rank 9. Enter rank 9 quickly. Li Changsheng, you are not Fong Ping. You have consumed too many resources. What you have consumed is not what you have obtained. What you have consumed is the foundation of others. Fong Ping's foundation. After entering rank 9, there is no need to specially hone the golden body. The consumption will not be so huge. Even if you are invincible among rank 8. So what? Even if you can kill a rank 9 as a rank 8, you will never reach the peak. Time waits for no man. How much time do you have? Li Changsheng, wake up. What we need now is absolute combat strength, not an invincible rank 8 powerhouse. Old man Li stood in the courtyard. His toes trembled slightly, wanting to take a step forward. Taking this step, he would be rank 9. Should he enter rank 9? If he did not, he would still need to consume a lot of resources. He had already consumed tens of thousands of yuan for Fong Ping's imperishable substance. This was the imperishable substance that many desperate realms could not condense in their entire lives. All of it had been used up on him. The King Battleground is about to open. If I advance to rank 9 now and transform again, my basic vitality will be at least 160,000 calories. With the addition of divine weapon and combat techniques, even if I am not as good as Qi Huanyu, I will not be worse than Su Yunfei. Once he entered rank 9, he would truly possess the combat strength of the top 10 on the ranking list. If he did not enter rank 9, he would at most be comparable to people like Wang Hanyue or even slightly inferior. These people could dodge his killing blow, and he could not withstand a single blow. In the Imperial Tomb, he killed the nameless mountain youth and became famous for a while. He was ranked 18th on the ranking list, higher than Chang Shanqi and the others. However, Old Man Li knew that his explosive power might be enough to rank 18th, but his overall strength was definitely not that high. If he really wanted to rank, he might still be below Fong Ping. This was normal. The nameless mountain youth did not know his combat habits. For people like Wu Chuan who were familiar with him, in a battle of life and death, he would definitely not be able to kill Wu Chuan. He would only be killed by Wu Chuan. Lifting his head, he looked at the combat heavenly palace in the sky. Old Man Li's gaze was complicated. In the past, the youth who needed his protection had already grown up. In the rank 8 battle, he had actually already lost to Fong Ping. Now, Fong Ping was also at rank 9. So was he. However, when he reached rank 9, he already felt an immense pressure and bottleneck. After absorbing the strength of Heavenly Emperor Zhan's heart, he absorbed a lot, but he was still stuck at the 140,000 calories checkpoint. These days, there was not much progress. In fact, the resources he consumed were more than anyone else. Even Fong Ping's own consumption was not as much as his. Back then, I could protect you, so I could accept all this. The stronger I am, the safer you are. But now, I've already fallen behind. I can no longer protect you. Old Man Li muttered in his heart. He seemed to be improving extremely fast, but in fact, he had already fallen behind. Who could he protect when he was comparable to Chang Shanqi and the others? Powerhouses swarmed in. He was no longer the invincible longevity sword. If he stayed at rank 8 for too long, he would only be left further and further behind. What am I afraid of? So what if I'm not at peak rank 9? With a sword in hand, the Tao is at my mercy. Strong foundation? Old Zhang and the others. Who has a stronger foundation than me? Now, they're also killing venerable sovereigns. Instructor, you've never experienced the glory of rank 9 in your life. You've never been called a high grandmaster. Today, your student Li Changsheng will walk the path of rank 9 for you. I'll help you experience the taste of the origin Tao. Old Man Li's gaze suddenly became determined. The path of martial arts was walked, who said that if one did not reach peak rank 9, one would not be invincible. At this moment, Old Man Li chose a completely different path from Fong Ping. At this moment, Old Man Li suddenly took a step forward. Rumble! A roar resounded in his mind. It seemed to have triggered a chain reaction. In reality, the void trembled. Everyone who was still watching Fong Ping suddenly looked toward the small courtyard. At this moment, the sky was dim. A black space seemed to appear in front of everyone. In the next moment, Old Man Li held a long sword in his hand. His martial arts uniform fluttered even though there was no wind. His footsteps were firm as he stepped forward again. Without any abrupt movement, he stepped into the sky. High in the sky, there seemed to be a path. It was not that wide. It was just a narrow and winding path. Old Man Li did not even look. With a slash of his sword, the darkness around the narrow and winding path seemed to be split open. Light appeared. My path is under my sword. A low roar was like a sudden clap of thunder, gripping everyone's heartstrings. "My path! I'll open it!" Rumble! A sky-piercing sword aura rose. With a slash, Old Man Lee took a step forward, stepping directly into the narrow and winding path. "How far to walk, I decide." Another slash, splitting the darkness in front of him. Old Man Lee took another step forward. "How wide to walk, I decide." With a slash of his sword, the surrounding dark void was torn apart by the sword aura. The narrow and winding path became a sky-piercing path in the blink of an eye. This scene was deeply imprinted in everyone's mind. On this day, an old man wielding a sword walked in the air. With each step and sword, he opened up his own path. Tirelessly, he pressed forward courageously, advancing all the way. The darkness was broken. On this day, the longevity swordsman's voice rang through heaven and earth. His path, he opened it himself. How wide to walk, how far to walk, he decided. Just like before, stubbornly going his own way and embarking on the path of convergence of 10,000 paths. The longevity swordsman did not choose to stop at 9 refinements after achieving gold. In an instant, he stepped into rank 9. The path was right under his feet. On this day, the longevity sword walked 300 meters in a day. In a flash, he reached Origin 4. On this day, everyone knew someone they already knew, but today, they had to get to know him again. Longevity swordsman Li Chongsheng. The moment he stepped into rank 9, his golden body reflected heaven and earth, vitality 160,000 calories. After walking 300 meters, his origin did not increase, but his golden body became stronger again, vitality 180,000 calories. Li Chongsheng, who was at Origin 4, had a base vitality 180,000 calories. Without the increase of Origin, there was a qualitative change in his vitality. In a day, Li Chongsheng transformed, his maximum combat strength more than 360,000 calories. On this day, in the Forbidden Sea, the words on a stone tablet suddenly changed. Longevity swordsman Li Chongsheng. 4th place on the leaderboard. Qi Huanyu, Zhao Xingwu, Kong Lingyuan, Li Chongsheng, top 4 on the leaderboard, including Zhao Xingwu. Sino Nation occupied 3. Longevity sword. This inconspicuous old man, on this day, had limitless glory. On the eve of the opening of the King Battleground, there were suddenly many more variables. At this moment, countless forces, including some emperor-level powerhouses, had noticed this neo-martial artist. Chapter 939. The Catacombs. Outside the King's Battleground, high peaks rose from the ground, separated by dozens of li, like a ring of pillars surrounding the entire King's Battleground. On top of each peak, there was a top-notch powerhouse guarding. Lockdown. The King's Battleground, which was like an upside-down bowl, was now tightly surrounded. Silence. On some of the peaks, there were clearly humans or demons, but there was no sound. Just when the silence was going to last for a long time, the space in the distance was torn apart. Maple King stepped out, his voice echoing. In the land of rebirth, longevity, sword enters godhood. 4th on the leaderboard. In the east, on top of a peak, a gigantic lion monster spoke in human language. "Below true king, Maple King. Why do you care?" Maple King said calmly. "In the King's Battleground, everyone is below true king." The giant lion said again. "In the end, they will come out." In the eyes of some, entering the King's Battleground to fight for the Demon Emperor's relic was just borrowing strength. Those rank 9 would still come out in the end. This was not the battlefield of rank 9. No matter how strong a rank 9 was, it was not worth mentioning in their eyes. Humans classified the peak as rank 9, but the catacombs, Outland, and the Borderlands would not do so. Rank 9 was rank 9. No matter who could get the Demon Emperor's relic this time. When it came out, it would still be up to the true kings to fight for it. Maple King sneered. At this moment, not far away, King Hua was also on top of a peak, smiling faintly. "Lion King, don't be careless. Once the Demon Emperor's relic falls into the hands of the resurrected martial artists, can we really get it back? In the north, Destiny Royal Court. Tiger King stood proudly on the peak, saying loudly, "We have to be careful. In the land of rebirth, Fong Ping is full of tricks. If this item falls into his hands, I'm afraid it will be difficult to find." The powerhouses of the two royal court were worried that the Demon Emperor's relic would fall into the hands of humans. At this moment, the giant lion monster became more vigilant, saying loudly, "Even if the land of rebirth gets the relic, isn't Martial King afraid of becoming a public enemy and the destruction of the land of rebirth?" Maple King sneered. "Afraid? The Martial King isn't a fool." After obtaining this item, he used the treasure as bait to lure the venerable sovereigns of the realm upon heavens and outer heavens to kill a few true kings in exchange for the treasure. Lion King, do you think those venerable sovereigns would agree? As soon as he said that, the experts from all directions started discussing. Compared to killing martial kings and martial emperors, those venerable sovereigns would probably be more willing to attack the real kings of the catacombs. At this moment, a giant dragon demonic beast broke through the air. Its gigantic body covered the sky as it said with an incomparably majestic voice, "The true king of the god continent fears nothing. Those venerable sovereigns, if they dare to attack, we will kill them together." The catacombs' four great majesties had close to 200 true kings. How many real kings could a venerable sovereign deal with? 3 to 5? 10? How many people could a martial king deal with? After saying that, the colossal dragon demonic beast shrunk its body rapidly and landed on a gigantic peak. It said in a cold voice, "Ever since I attained my Tao, I have never made enemies out of anyone. A few days ago, Fong Ping killed my only descendant. He deserves to die. This time, I have no intention of fighting for the treasure. My only wish is to kill Fong Ping." The dragon was none other than the mystic draconic demon king, who had guarded Destiny Royal Court for nearly 1,000 years. At this moment, the demon king's huge eyes were filled with anger, and the void seemed to be burning. All kings, the four great majesties are one. In the past, the land of rebirth was nothing to be afraid of. The four great majesties had endless internal strife, causing the reborn martial artists to struggle at death's door until now. Now, powerhouses from the Demon Emperor era have appeared frequently, and even ancient powerhouses have appeared. The martial king is domineering, thinking that he can scare off everyone by risking his life. What a joke! The mystic draconic demon king's loud voice spread in all directions. Everyone fought, but in the end, they were deterred by the martial king. Killing God Lucian King, killing ancient venerable sovereigns. Has the divine land fallen to such a state? I have already contacted Destiny and the two great majesties. This time, we will join forces to kill the reborn martial artists. If the martial king dares to interfere, we will kill the martial king. The divine land will never become the martial king's stepping stone. The mystic draconic demon king's voice became louder and louder. In the next moment, he shouted, "Maple King, Leo King, myriad demons, heavenly plants royal court. What do you mean?" Maple King said indifferently, "Are you anxious now? Back then, I said to kill the reborn martial artists first and join forces with everyone. Did anyone agree?" After mocking him, Maple King said again, "This time, let the reborn martial artists and the other forces participate. First, all forces are strong, so we can use their strength to besiege the two great majesties. Second, in the land of great majesties, the space battlefield situation is complicated. It is vast, and there are many powerhouses' corpses. All forces must join forces to seize the treasure. The four great majesties can join forces, but it won't be a massacre the moment they enter. Mystic Dragon, join forces. We must wait for the treasure to appear. This time, we will kill all the powerhouses from the land of rebirth." Agreed. Mystic Dragon Demon King was not blinded by anger. He said loudly, "This is the first step. When the treasure appears, the the four great majesties will join forces to kill the reborn martial artists. I want the reborn martial artists to walk out of the land of great majesties this time. Agreed. Powerhouses from all forces responded. The land of rebirth had become a huge problem. In the past 2 years, true kings had fallen continuously. Even someone as strong as King 100 Mountains had fallen on the spot. Many descendants of true kings had been killed. The outer realm had been lost one after another, and the reborn martial artists had become stronger as they fought. Seeing that chaos was coming, the land of rebirth had turned out in full force. If they did not take advantage of the gathering of powerhouses to kill them now, when would they wait? Soon, King Feng said, "Everyone this time, don't hide anymore. Send all the god generals and powerhouses to the land of great majesties. All the god generals from the Maple Territory will enter the land of great majesties. Don't forget, there are also powerhouses from beyond Avalon, the land of boundaries, and the Forbidden Sea. The land of great majesties is in Godland. That is the territory of the four great majesties. How can we let these people take advantage of us?" After King Feng said that, Mystic Dragon Demon King shouted, "That's right. Who can fight against the combined forces of Godland?" 200 true kings did not mean there were no emperor-level powerhouses. Myriad Demon King, Heavenly Demon King, King Qian, and Life King all had emperor-level combat strength. There was also Li Zhu, who was ranked 10th. King Feng wasn't the only one who had taken 2 great Daos. There were a few other experts who had taken the same path. King Hua, King Feng, and the others, even if they were slightly weaker than Monarch Realm experts, they might lose in a one-on-one fight, but they wouldn't lose instantly. Including Mystic Dragon, he could fight Emperor-level powerhouses. Even if he could not win, it would be difficult for him to die. In the 3 realms, the land realm was the strongest force. Seeing Mystic Dragon's attitude, King Feng smiled. "Since no one has any objections, we will act according to this decision. Mystic Dragon, when will Life King come?" "Within 3 days." "Will Myriad Demon King and Heavenly Demon King come this time?" Mystic Dragon said again. "Heavenly Demon King will come." On the other side, Giant Lion Demon King said, "Myriad Demon King will come." Then he asked, "How are King Qian and Li Zhu?" King Feng raised his brows slightly. King Qian did not return to the True King Hall recently and cannot be found. Li Zhu is currently recruiting god generals. They will come with these god generals in 7 days. "Humph!" Someone snorted and said unhappily, "Is King Qian trying to be a fisherman?" This time, all the experts of God Continent are out, and King Qian has disappeared without a trace. King Feng, once King Qian arrives to snatch the treasure, don't blame us for joining forces to kill him. King Feng sneered. "I have no objections. Do as you wish." King Hua glanced at King Feng and said plainly, "Everyone, let's put this matter aside for now. We haven't even joined forces, and we are already talking about this. I am worried that we will walk down the old path and end up killing each other again. Isn't 1 or 2 such lessons enough?" God Continent was too strong. They were so strong that they ignored the land of rebirth and the other forces. All these years, they schemed and killed each other. In the blink of an eye, experts from all sides emerged. This time, the 100 Kings Conference had started. In addition, many true kings had fallen and the ancient experts were running amok. With so many factors, these people felt threatened for the first time. Although God Continent was strong, their advantage was limited. If they didn't join forces and were defeated one by one, God Continent might be the first major force to be eliminated. Everyone was silent. Soon, someone said calmly, "There's no point in talking. 7 days later, all the gods will gather and open the battlefield to snatch the treasure." Agreed. On the peak, all the true kings agreed. At this moment, someone asked, "King Feng, did you find anything strange when you went to the Forbidden Ocean? What is that stone tablet, and who changed the ranking?" King Feng said solemnly, "I didn't find anything strange. When I investigated the stone tablet, it seemed to be connected to the Forbidden Ocean. It was set up by experts, As for the change of the ranking, it should be because someone is nearby and can change it at any time. However, the Forbidden Ocean is too complicated. It's hard to find out who exactly it is and where they're hiding. I can't find the person in the dark. In the Forbidden Ocean, even true kings couldn't probe too far as their mental energy would be absorbed by the seawater. If someone was hiding there, they wouldn't be able to find out even if they were tens of miles away. In such a huge area, no one would be able to find out in time if the other party used their mental energy to change the ranking. Who exactly set up this stone tablet? Everyone, we have to guard against this. The other party set up the 3 realms ranking with the intention of monitoring the 3 realms. Why don't we send someone to wait near the stone tablet? King Feng interrupted. Unless there's a true king guarding the place for a long time, one might not be enough. We'll need a few more. However, the other party set up the ranking in the Forbidden Ocean to avoid detection. If we really guard this place, I'm afraid it won't take long for other regions to have stone tablets set up. King Feng understood that it was not feasible to wait for a rabbit to come to them. The Forbidden Ocean was too vast and boundless. If they were targeted here, they could set it up in another place. How would they be able to find out? Why did the other party change the ranking in time? I'm afraid they're up to no good. With this, the longevity sword entered 4th place in the blink of an eye. The longevity sword will be the focus of everyone's attention in the upcoming trip to the King Battleground. In my opinion, the Hidden Force has the intention to use the 3 realms ranking as a weather vane. The Catacombs Kings were not stupid. Soon someone scoffed and said, for example, Song Mao Li Zhu, King Qian, these people are bait thrown out by the other party. Changing the ranking in time is just to make the ranking more realistic, to make us believe in the ranking's accuracy. Li Chongqing's incident reached the other party's ears in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye, the ranking was changed. This meant too many things. Changing the ranking was also to increase the ranking's credibility. When everyone believed in the ranking's fairness, those people would be paid extra attention, unlike now where everyone was skeptical. Moreover, there was no second place in martial arts. These true kings were all arrogant, and so were those ancient venerable emperors. If the ranking was not recognized, then so be it. If it was recognized, there might be more conflicts. Everyone was well aware of this. However, knowing was one thing. Some things could not be avoided just because they were aware. The kings discussed in low voices. No one left the peak. High peaks surrounded the king battleground tightly. With the arrival of a new true king, the peak would soon be set up. The catacombs were already prepared to kill the 2 true kings. Time passed, day by day. February was a short month. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of the month. The storm caused by Li Chongqing gradually subsided. Old man Li also began to cultivate in seclusion, waiting for the king battleground. At this moment, Sino Nation was extremely quiet. Everyone was seizing every minute and second to cultivate. The powerhouses were almost nowhere to be seen. This scene also made some of the grandmasters exclaim in surprise. Such frequent cultivation, breakthroughs, and high-intensity cultivation was not an easy thing to do. In the neo-martial era, the emergence of so many powerhouses in just a few decades had a lot to do with themselves. In combat Heavenly Palace, the golden light on Fong Ping's body was finally no longer dazzling. At this moment, Fong Ping was no longer cultivating. Powerhouses from other places had begun to arrive in Magic City one after another. He needed to come out of seclusion soon to organize this messy team. However, before that, Fong Ping still had something to do. Combat Heavenly Palace, in the Basilica. Fong Ping played with a crystal in his hand. With a casual toss, the crystal floated in the air. Then, like a water screen, an unfamiliar scene appeared. Fong Ping took a look and smiled. This is the sky screen? The basilica was not empty. Beigong Yin said quickly, "That's right. We found it in Li Yi's storage ring and interrogated him. According to him, the sky screen was originally very simple. After that, the Pope provided them with new technology and created the sky screen now. Actually, we've made this thing before, but it's not as good as theirs. The principle is actually not difficult. You've used the mother-child sensor before. This thing is the upgraded version of that. Speaking of the mother-child sensor, Fong Ping remembered. The first time he went to the battlefield, Pudgy Jiang brought this thing with him. However, it was indeed very simple. It could only sense the location of the person holding the jade tag, but no images appeared. Fong Ping looked at the image displayed on the crystal in front of him. After a while, he said, "Where is this? It's not the catacombs, is it?" "No." Beigong Yin explained, "It should be the influence of the boundary wall. We can't use this in the division between two worlds. It can only be used on Earth or in the catacombs. Also, the distance is limited. The furthest is 3,000 miles. Fong Ping nodded slightly. Beyond imagination, it can actually be monitored from 3,000 miles away. Is it based on the guidance of mentality at the peak? That's right. This thing must be made at the peak. I've seen it once before. It has a monitoring device hidden in the air. It seems like it can be easily discovered. Fong Ping had seen it in Sky Plant City. Moreover, Feng Meishing did not die that time. This fellow flew into the air and smashed the camera directly. Feng Meishing was only a rank 7. He could still discover it after being reminded. It was obviously not too secretive. Beigong Yin said again, "It's already been modified. It's very difficult to discover it now." The minister said that the Grand Pope should have used an ancient method to refine it. It's a little similar to Grandmaster. The current camera is actually hidden in the gaps between spaces, extremely secretive. Therefore, the forces that the Grand Pope belongs to, or he himself, should know how to refine Grandmaster. The minister asked me to tell you about this. Maybe there's a chance that we can start from this aspect and track down the other party's identity. Grandmaster, a small world that stood in the gaps between spaces. This was not something that ordinary people could refine. Even some of the Grandmasters might not be able to refine it. Back then, they had to find someone to help them, paying a huge price. If they started from this aspect, they could lock onto some people and narrow down the scope. Fong Ping nodded slightly and did not say much. He looked at the small office in the image and smiled. "Can I talk to the other party?" "Yes." Beigong Yin nodded and said, "This is the main control. It's similar to turning on a headset, and you can talk to the other party. So high-end. It reminds me of a divine weapon." Fong Ping laughed. As soon as he finished laughing, a shadow appeared beside him. A big cat seemed to be getting fatter and fatter. It was as fat as a ball. It was eating candied fruits, nodding its head and saying, "It looks a little like a divine peeper." Fong Ping was a little surprised. He was not surprised that it looked like a divine peeper, but that this cat was actually here. "Big cat, why are you here?" Fong Ping was really curious. This cat was so lazy that it was scary. Why did it come here all of a sudden? Magic City was still quite a distance away from here. Wasn't it tiring to fly? "I can't sleep." The cat sighed. "The pseudo-human emperor has been missing me every day recently. I miss him so much that I want to poke him to death." Cough, cough. Beigong Yin coughed softly. The cat glanced at him and muttered, "I can't poke him to death? I'm number 1 on the emperor leaderboard. You're underestimating me." Beigong Yin was a little dazed. The corner of his mouth twitched slightly. "I was just thinking, this cat was really scary." "Scary, right?" The cat grinned and wagged its tail. "Were you scared?" Beigong Yin was stunned again. Fong Ping did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Leader Beigong, you can leave first." If Beigong Yin stayed any longer, he would probably start to doubt his life. Beigong Yin ran away as if he was running for his life. This cat could see through people's minds. He felt pressured staying with this cat. It was better to leave it to Fong Ping. After he left, Fong Ping played with an object that looked like a remote control in his hand and said with a smile, "You flew so far to look for me just because you can't sleep, right? It was only a few dozen li. For a peak, it could be reached in the blink of an eye." However, Fong Ping said that he had flown so far. The cat did not feel uncomfortable at all. It was really a long distance, and he was tired. With a sweep of his tail, the cat swept the stone chair away and sat on the sofa. A skewer of Tonghulu appeared in his claws again. As he ate, he said, "Liar, you've become stronger again. When can you poke the pseudo-emperor to death?" Fong Ping did not know whether to laugh or cry. I want to, but I can't do it. Looking at this cat sitting and eating like a human, Fong Ping wanted to ravage its fat head, but he gave up after thinking about it. He sat on his own and said, "It's still too early for me. Old Zhang is also becoming stronger. It's not that easy." "That's true." The cat sighed and lost his appetite. He said dejectedly, "What should I do then? These few days he's been thinking about me every day. He wants me to go to the Earth realm with him, but I don't want to go." Previously, they had agreed to stay on Earth for a few days and leave after getting the bell. But now, the cat did not mention going to the catacombs at all. There was food and drinks, someone brushing his fur, watching television when he was free, shopping online, sunbathing, pinching his chubby little face. This was the life of a cat. How carefree. But now it was annoying. The cat was very annoyed. The pseudo-human emperor was going overboard. If this went on, when would it end? Fong Ping saw it sighing in despair, its cat face lifeless. Fong Ping did not feel much sympathy for it, but he found it very amusing. This fat cat also had its troubles. It also had times of helplessness. Then why don't you talk to him? This thing seems to be directly connected to his office. I don't want to talk. The cat was weak and said lazily, "Liar, the pseudo-human emperor is dead. Are you guys going to die too?" "If he dies, humans probably won't be able to hold on for long," Fong Ping said calmly. "Although the Heavenly King is very strong, I don't know what the Heavenly King is thinking. Maybe he will continue to protect humans. Maybe, who knows? But if old Zhang dies, the soul of Neo Marshall will be gone. Now, the others can't hold up this sky. They can't hold up the sky of Neo Marshall. Although Commander Li is strong, he is the descendant of the Heavenly King. He may not be able to convince the masses. Minister South has just reached the peak not long ago. He can't hold up this sky either." Fong Ping said bitterly, "That's why he can't die. If he really dies, the Golden Age is just an illusion. Billions of lives are actually relying on him to hold on to their last breath. If this string is broken, most of the people will lose their last fighting spirit. Without anyone to take over, I'm afraid humans will collapse very soon. If the Heavenly King stood up, perhaps they could still hold on. But would the Heavenly King be willing? Would he stand up? He really couldn't be sure." The cat became even more depressed. "Is that so? But if I don't go to the land realm, he will probably die. Will there be no cat food to eat in the future? Definitely not. I can't bask in the sun anymore. I definitely can't." The cat was already in despair. It curled into a ball and said pitifully, "Then, must I go?" Fong Ping comforted it. "Not necessarily. You're doing me a favor. If you help me, Big Cat, you'll be the savior of humans. In the future, you can eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, sleep until the end of time. Meow." The cat shrieked and said sadly, "But I'm just a cat. I raise cats for fun, and I don't have to do any work." The corner of Fong Ping's mouth twitched. The most important thing was that you were a Terminator cat. What was the cat thinking? It was fun to raise you for fun, but you could eat. If you didn't do some work, who could afford to raise you? Meow. It's so annoying. The cat grumbled and quickly looked at Fong Ping. "Give me the money first, then—" "What?" Meow. The cat exploded this time. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, pounced on Fong Ping, and slapped Fong Ping's head. "1 billion. Liar, you're going back on your words. I've been waiting for a few days. You don't give me the money, and you still want me to work. I'll poke you to death. I'm here to ask for money." Fong Ping was dizzy from the beating, and he was in a daze. "I really forgot. The most important thing is I don't think I have that much money. How long has it been since I last used money?" He thought that the cat had forgotten about it, and he had forgotten about it too. Who knew that his creditor would come knocking on his door today? Fong Ping had no choice but to say hurriedly, "Give me the money. I'll give it to you right away." Big Cat, stop fooling around. Does that mean you agree this time? "Give me the money first." "What do you want money for?" "To buy cat food." The cat said sadly, "I might not come back for a long time this time. I need to save enough cat food to last me for 3,000 years. No, 10,000 years." Fong Ping's teeth were aching. 10,000 years? Who would store food for 10,000 years? Did this cat not have a lifespan limit? After complaining for a while, Fong Ping said hurriedly, "All right, as long as you agree. Don't worry. Old Zhang won't let you sleep for so long. Soon you can come back to bask in the sun and sleep." The cat looked at him with contempt. "Liar, I don't believe you. That you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.